Apocalypse begins by copying Magneto, controlling the magnetic field. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. 50 don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now. Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. Forget it. Chu Xiu doesn't like to use umbrellas. The next morning, Zhang Haoping was waiting outside the villa point. After waiting to report to Chu Xiu, he went to Hushan prison to select survivors. Come. So early. After a while, Chu Xiu walked out of the villa. While there are no monsters now, I want to quickly open the arsenal. Zhang Haoping explained. Now the Sushan mountain is completely the safest place in the apocalypse. This time has passed. Not only can the arsenal be opened as soon as possible, but there is also enough time to arrange defenses around. Correct. Aside from light weapons such as pistols and submachine guns, we don't make them. How many people are needed to produce only large caliber machine guns and armor piercing shells? Chu Xiu asked. Now it's all automated production. If the demand for production is not large, 50 people are enough. Zhang Haoping thought for a while and replied, that's it, 50. 563 people may not be enough. You can bring all you can, because you still want to build this thing. Chu Xiu finished. The mechanical spider came out of the courtyard of the villa. The 4 sharp mechanical legs glow with a metallic cold glow. This is. Zhang Haoping was slightly surprised. But he quickly thought of Beizaro, who had performed surgery on him before. There is a result in mind. But, if I remember correctly, the Hushan base doesn't seem to have many people. Chu Xiu frowned. Speaking of which, I have to blame myself. There were about 100 people in Hushan prison before, but most are prisoners. He also killed himself in half. Only 60 or 70 people remained. Even if there were new survivors who defected during this period, it is estimated that the total number is only 100 or so. It really doesn't work. Tell Thin Monkey and bring women with labor. Chu Xiu said helplessly. Regardless of men and women, as long as there is labor force, there is use value. Okay. Zhang Haoping also knows the problem of not picking men and women now. Had to agree. Subsequently. He got on Liao Zhangtao's helicopter and embarked on a voyage to Hushan prison. And here. The helicopter just left. When Chu Xiu returned to the villa, the communicator on the table rang before the skin was hot. Called from Hushan prison. After the magnetic control is raised to LV5, Chu Xiu didn't even have to reach for the communicator. Just take a look at the dense, silt-like radio waves. You'll know who's calling. What's the matter, skinny monkey? Chu Xiu stretched out his hand and gently moved the invisible electromagnetic thread with magnetic energy. Simulate the signal of his own speech and send it to the past. Leader, something happened. Soon, in the electromagnetic wave, came the voice of the skinny monkey. The voice was anxious. Make it clear. Chu Xiu became serious. Although the thin monkey is slick, he will never aim for nothing. That's it, chief. In the past 2 days, a large number of survivors have come to defect, claiming to be from the southwest base. The thin monkey spoke very quickly. The voice is anxious. Yes. How did I forget the southwest base? And here, Chu Xiu slapped his thigh when he heard the 4 characters of Southwest Base. How did I forget the survivors of the Southwest Base? When the corpse tide comes, nearly 10,000 survivors fled the Southwest Base. Unexpectedly, a group of people ran to the Hushan base by accident. Isn't this a good thing? Why are you crying? Chu Xiu wondered. I'm short of manpower here. There's a workforce Arno. Isn't it a good thing to have survivors come to defect? No, chief. How many powers are there in this group? They joined a group of survivors and occupied the base while I was away. The skinny monkey wants to cry, but has no tears as an ordinary person without powers, relying on the power of a fox and a tiger to command another group of ordinary people. It was barely reasonable. But when the real awakened came to the base. Fox fake tiger might not work. No matter how powerful thin monkey, said his leader. Chu Xiu was not. Without seeing it with your own eyes, none of those awakened will believe it. Chu Xiu listened to thin monkey's story. Silent for a while, then laughed. Isn't that a good thing? Simply Good can't be better. Good news. Double happiness. There is a labor force delivered to your door. There is another awakener who can provide a copy opportunity. As long as there is a powerful awakener here. Chu Xiu is the first emperor of Qin who touches the wires. He won't be numb. But they killed a lot of people. Chief, you must call the shots for me. Thin Monkey obviously doesn't know what Chu Xiu is thinking. Now he has a base and can't go back. So he took a few people to hide in the wilderness. Okay, stop howling. You must have fled to safety by now. Chu Xiu directly interrupted the waiting of the Thin Monkey. It doesn't have superpowers though. But when encountering danger, the one who runs is called fast. And there is no danger at all. To be honest. This kid is crying. The Thin Monkey, who was exposed, can only explain awkwardly, boss, I didn't run away. I just came out to collect supplies when they rebelled. Okay, don't talk about it. Eyelines come right over. Chu Xiu was too lazy to talk nonsense with the skinny monkey. Done. I cut off the radio waves and walked out of the villa. What's wrong? Outside the villa, Li Qiuyu and Yun Yi were preparing to go out to collect supplies. See Chu Xiu's posture. Involuntarily asked a question. There is a rebellion in the prison. I will deal with it. Chu Xiu finished. The repulsive magnetic field was released and the whole person rose from the ground and flew into the distance. Yun Yi and Li Qiuyu looked at each other. After stunned for 2 seconds, the two women continued to discuss where to collect supplies next. Go to the supermarket. Yun Yi suggested. Why go to the supermarket? We are not short of food now. Li Qiuyu was puzzled. What to eat? Yun Yi rolled her eyes and said with an expression, small umbrella. Small umbrella. Do you understand? 4.1 inches what? Li Qiuyu responded. The little face suddenly turned red. But after a while, she seemed to think of something that, otherwise, let's go to the pharmacy. Chu Xiu doesn't like to use umbrellas. Li Qiuyu whispered. Fortunately, Chu Xiu had already flown far away by this time. Otherwise, Chu Xiu would definitely give Li Qiuyu 100 thumbs up. Gentle, kind, be considerate, then dedicate all the beautiful adjectives to Li Qiuyu. Cry, she thinks so much about herself. It's up to him. I don't care. I'll go to the supermarket. But in the end, Li Qiuyu still failed to beat Yun Yi. After some discussion, the two girls still went to the supermarket. It really corresponds to that sentence. A mouse droppings ruin a good pot of porridge. Chapter 127. Are you also equipped to play with cleaning? Here, Chu Xiu, who had already flown far away, did not know that an interesting thing had just happened. Him at this time is engrossed in controlling the magnetic field energy. Fly fast in a way that surfs on the blue star's gravity. Its figure skim quickly over buildings. Roar. On the ground, some zombies or beasts with strong senses have just discovered Chu Xiu. Haven't had time to react yet. Chu Xiu's figure disappeared in an instant. Soon. Zhang Heo and others who set off ahead of schedule. He was actually caught up by Chu Xiu, who set off later. Leader, look at Chu Xiu, who suddenly appeared out of the helicopter window. Zhang Heoping and Lao Zhangtao were both startled. Leader, in the cabin, the two soldiers brought by Zhang Heoping also stood up. Leaned in front of the porthole. All sit down. Chu Xiu's voice rang on the helicopter's radio. Now the electromagnetic field can be easily used to simulate the radio signal to achieve the effects similar to the walkie-talkie communication. Boss, why are you here? Zhang Heoping was a little puzzled. For the trivial matter of selecting workers, there is absolutely no need for the leader to come here. Old Zhangtao, Hushan prison has a new batch of survivors, Chu Xiu did not answer Zhang Heoping's question. Looking at the old man, he asked. The old man was stunned when asked. Then helplessly, boss, I haven't gone back these days. Since the day of the corpse tide, like a full-time driver, Lao Zhangtao followed Chu Xiu all day long. Never went back at all. The situation at the Hushan base is naturally unclear. Okay, I see. Chu Xiu nodded. After speaking, he was ready to leave quickly. Boss, what happened to Hushan base? The old man couldn't help asking. People are getting old. Just nostalgia. Even in prison, Lao Zhangtao has been in for a few years, and his feelings have come out. When you arrive, it should be fine. Chu Xiu did not explain the situation to them. After dropping a sentence, he accelerated and threw off the helicopter. It didn't take long. Chu Xiu left Liu Zhangtao and others far behind. Not even a shadow can be seen. According to this speed difference, wait for Liu Zhangtao and the others to arrive at the Hushan base. It is estimated that Chu Xiu has already dealt with the rebels. Just when Chu Xiu arrived inside the Hushan base, a brutal purge is being staged. Stand up, separate, men and women. Women go to the left. Stand up, come on. A group of raw faces are pointing guns at the original survivors of Hushan base. Force them to stand in line in the prison open space. This clearing is under the order of Chu Xiu. Vegetables were already planted, and it's growing great. In just a few days, vegetable sprouts emerged from the soil. But under the trampling of these people, the vegetable sprouts that just came out were trampled into a mess. Bang, bang, bang. Not far away, there were gunshots. The original defenders of Hushan base, as well as some elderly people and children without labor force. Prepare for the thugs to shove under the wall. Prepare to be executed one by one. Don't kill me, I'm a farmer and I can grow vegetables. Look over there, I planted it over there. An old man in his 70s pointed to a newly cultivated vegetable field not far away and shouted, I hope this proves that I'm worthy. But unfortunately, these people are not Chu Xiu. In the doomsday of life and death, they did not have the patience to wait for a batch of vegetables to ripen. Boom, a gunshot rang out, and the old man fell into a pool of blood. What kind of supermarket is full of food? These people still grow vegetables. Ah, you stupid, eh? Gun-wielding thugs spat fiercely on the ground. Obviously, these escaped survivors do not care about sustainable development. Doom has completely changed their thinking. The good people who were law-abiding in peacetime were turned into thugs who did all kinds of evil. If you don't have enough food, go grab it. Go loot. Farming. Only fools farm. Cleaning is still in progress. And, except for the original survivors of the Hushan base. Those who came with these thugs were also survivors of the Southwest base, and some of them were also arrested. Prepare to kill chickens to warn monkeys. Zhao. Shan, we are classmates. We chased girls together before. Did you forget? A teenager from the Southwest base. He was pushed under the wall by his former friend and classmate, ready to be executed. What bullshit, classmate? In front of the teenager, he has become a classmate of the thugs, ignoring his former classmate. Friendship gun buds mashed over. If you hadn't disclosed the news of our actions to the skinny monkey, can he run? Done. He raised his gun directly at the boy. Boom, a gunshot rang out, and the boy fell into a pool of blood. This is not an isolated case. After all, only a very small number of people dare to become thugs. There are 300 or 400 people who escaped from the Southwest base, at least 300 or 400 people, and most of them are satisfied as long as they have enough to eat. Even with ambition, they also dare not act, except for the thin monkeys who ran away. Everything else is here on the high wall of the base. There are several awakeners with different abilities satisfied looking at what he has done. In one's eyes, it is a greedy gaze that cannot be concealed. I'll say it can be successful, and without superpowers still wants to overtake us. A young awakener said with a sneer, the ants in his mouth. Apparently it was the skinny monkey that Chu Xiu stayed to manage the base. That's right. Other awakens also agreed with the young man's statement. With superpowers, the mentality of these people is also expanding. When they were in the Southwest base before, 563 was afraid of the army, and they did not dare to be too presumptuous. No worries now. You said the one in the thin monkey's mouth, the leader surnamed Chu. Will he come over? According to him, this surnamed Chu seems to be a very strong awakener. A middle-aged awakened person couldn't help asking. Do not know why. Since taking over the Hushan base, he has had an ominous foreboding. Afraid of what? Let's not say that the boy of the skinny monkey is bragging. Even if he didn't brag, there really is an awakener named Chu. So what? The 6 of us can beat him alone, the boy who spoke earlier said with a look of disdain. He didn't take the skinny monkey's fox and tiger power seriously at all, and also have You seen the group of women below? The boy pointed to the bottom. The group of women who were pointed at by guns and driven together like sheep. If we don't do it, will these women have your share back? Then at the southwest base, food, women, shelter, where did we get it? TMD, the dignified awakener in the southwest base has lived like a pariah. The more the boy thought about it, the more angry he became. His actions now also amount to a retaliatory act. As Chu Xiu said at the beginning. Because of the lack of supplies, even the awakened, the life in the southwest base is not very good. Chapter 128 Hardcore Ruthless Man. It's useless for me to think about the basket. You're right. Rather than relying on others, it's better to lift the table and be the boss. The middle-aged man was finally persuaded by the juvenile. Certainly. There was another important reason that persuaded him. That's why he was below and saw several women who had an appetite for him. That's right. The 6 of us will go out together. After. The ambitious young man is still giving everyone blood point, but a wretched fat man interrupted him impatiently. Come on, don't say it. I saw a good-looking one. The fat man grinned and pointed at a thin girl in the crowd with a disgusting smile. Worse yet, in broad daylight, this thing has already reacted. I rely on how old is TM, fat pig, so you like this? Several people looked in the direction pointed by the fat pig, and all rolled their eyes. But no one wanted to stop it. Let's discuss it slowly. I'll bring this in first. The fat pigs were clearly impatient. Finished. Jumped directly from the high wall. The fat body suddenly grows in midair, like an inflatable ball. It instantly becomes round and round. Boom. After landing, the fat pig really bounced twice like a ball. He stood up unharmed. Haha, here I come. After standing up, the fat pig laughed and rushed towards the girls in the crowd. Ah, what? Women who are driven together standing in line. C. Scared away. The terrified girl was exposed. Do not come. The girl was about to run, but the fat man was too fast. It actually looks round. But his body seemed to be very elastic, and every time he took a step, his body would spring forward very far, just like a ball. In just a few steps, the fat pig grabbed the girl's slender arm. Ah, let me go, let me go. The girl kept hammering the fat man, but like hitting the ball, the fist bounced back and nearly hit herself. Let go of my daughter. At this time, a middle-aged woman rushed over and picked up a brick from nowhere. Bang! The brick hit the fat pig's head. It was also bounced off, unable to cause any damage. Haha, it's good to come. Originally I wasn't interested in an old guy like you, 50, but since they are mother and daughter, looking at the middle-aged woman who suddenly jumped out, the fat pig was stunned for a moment, and then burst out laughing. Grabbing the middle-aged woman's hair, with the other hand, he grabbed the girl's arm, and dragged the mother and daughter to the prison. Let me go. When the leader of Chu arrives, you will be dead. Fat pig. Stinky pig. Dead pig. The girl kept beating and cursing the fat pig. Coincidentally, this mother and daughter were exactly the ones that Chu Xiu met on the pedestrian street when he was looking for Li Qiu. At first, they followed Chu Xiu's advice and went to the southwest base. The days that followed were a bit rough. But survived. Until the corpse tide came. The mother and daughter followed the fleeing troops and evacuated the southwest base. After several turns, finally came to Hushan base. What bullshit, Chu boss? Have the labor and management met? The fat man spat fiercely and forcibly dragged the mother and daughter into the house. At this time, there was an exclamation not far away. There is someone in the sky, flying towards us on the sentry tower. Or thug standing guard shouted in alarm. He saw a black spot flying at a very high speed, and when he looked through the telescope, he realized that it was a person. What? Here. Shouts on the high wall. Several awakened people, including the young man, were stunned. The other side. The Chu Xiu people have not arrived yet. The induction of the magnetic field diffused in advance has already saw everything that happened in Hushan prison. Extraordinary. Chu Xiu was in a good mood. instantly burst into flames. Originally, he thought this was just an ordinary awakened seizing power, because this kind of thing is so common. As the strength of the awakened became stronger and stronger, those with a little ambition were no longer willing to rely on others. After all, now in this world, whoever has the bigger fist speaks, but Chu Xiu didn't expect that these dicks not only seized power, but also acted to clean up dissidents, and also ruined Lao Tzu's vegetable field. Through magnetic induction, Chu Xiu discovered the trampled vegetable field and became even more angry. Can't wait to land. Chu Xiu directly controlled the magnetic field a few hundred meters away. For a moment, inside Hushan prison, large and small metal objects, all flying into the sky uncontrollably. The gun-wielding thugs haven't reacted yet. The firearm in his hand and the bullet in his waist were all pulled into the air by an invisible force. What? Put me down. A large gold chain around the neck of a thug, its gilded iron point. As a result, he was directly dragged into the air by the iron chain, and there was a wave of artificial hanging. What happened? All of a sudden there was a mess in the prison. The sudden scene made everyone stunned. They ran out of guns. What the hell? The Hushan prison personnel who were about to be executed were the first to react. These people, 9 out of 10 have squatted. When you move your hands, it's a ruthless one. Lao Tzu is 70 years old, and you can do it. The labor and capital will kill you. A brawny man full of tattoos, roaring, got up with a punch. Knocked down the young man who executed the old man. Then turn over and right facing the young man's face. He greeted with an iron fist. It's the leader of Chu who is back. F***K. Them, riot of prisoner buddies. Like a signal. Other survivors also responded. Especially the original gang of Hushan prison saw the metal inexplicably flying into the sky and immediately understood that it was Chu Xiu who came here. Without a word, he rushed towards the thugs. Some guy copied the guy. If there is no guy, just grab the fist. You are crazy. 9 Not afraid of death. The only awakened who jumped off the high wall, the fat pig, also naturally became the target of everyone's beating. However, he seems to be able to absorb all physical attacks. The fists of the crowd, Li Wang Heo, they were ejected one after another. Okay. Don't be afraid of death, right? Labor and capital will kill you. Although the fat pig was not injured, he was also provoked. At this time, the mother and daughter were no longer in the picture. Growl, get rid of fat shoulders. But before the fat pig could make a move, a piercing pain came from below. Which dog bit my basket? The fat pig let out a slaughtering howl. Tears flowed out from the pain, dripping down the fat and wrinkled face. A sudden howl. Stop a group of people who are beating fat pigs at this moment. A thief-looking guy crawled out of the crowd by drilling his crotch. A piece of meat appears to be in his mouth. Pooh. The laborers thought you were really invulnerable. After crawling out, the man spit out the rotten meat and cursed at the same time. Gravups, basket, blue third tone, manually funny. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Turn over and suppress. The strength of rolling. At the same time, the base was in chaos. The 5 awakeners on the high wall had no time to end the riot. At this time, they all of them were controlled by Chu Xiu's hand, which was a few hundred meters away. Did that guy do it? Impossible. Such a long distance? Several people looked at each other. Especially the middle-aged man who was a little uneasy before. Now, the sense of unease in his heart is getting stronger. Lu. And isn't this person the Chu leader in the mouth of the skinny monkey? Look at Chu Xiu, who is flying fast not far away. The middle-aged man asked anxiously. The Luan he mentioned was the most arrogant young man just now. Afraid. Afraid of what? This kind of manipulative awakener is most afraid of being approached. Lu and Qiang pretended to be calm. He set his eyes on the wretched young man next to him. Brother. Who? We will help you attract his attention. You can find an opportunity to attack him. No. Problem point the young man who was called Brother Who by Luan nodded point then the body suddenly seemed to have no entity. Straight through the high wall. Escaped to the ground. Several other Awakens also made preparations for the battle. One by one. As if they were facing the enemy point moment. Chu Xiu flew to Hushan prison point hanging in the air. With cold eyes. He looked down at the 4 people on the wall point name. Luans*X. Male. Talent. Primary haste LV2. 563 point I don't know if it's an illusion point Luan had a faint feeling that his soul was seen through by the person in front of him. You. Who are you? In addition to being shocked, Luan shouted boldly. The other 3 were also nervous. One by one is like a formidable enemy. Among them, Cui pinged. That is, the middle-aged man with less courage. Cold sweat was already pouring out of his forehead. The unease in his heart has reached its peak. It's the riots of your several organizations? It is different from the 4 who are facing the enemy. Chu Xiu's face was as usual, but there was a little anger in his voice. As soon as this word comes out, Luan and the others immediately understood that the person in front of them was the Chu leader that Thin Monkey spoke of. You, stop talking nonsense. F*** him, Lu. And wanted to say something else point a slightly bald man next to him jumped up and launched the attack first point up in the air. The body changes shape rapidly. The muscles swell, the animal's fur grows, and the mouth extends outward. There is also a tail growing out of the tail. In a very short period of time, the whole person turned into a giant orangutan that was nearly 3 meters tall. Raw Lu Wei, who turned into a giant chimpanzee, roared and rushed towards Chu Xiu in midair. Open your mouth wide point 4 sharp fangs, trying to bite Chu Xiu point Lu Wei beastization. Gorilla LV2 it's another beast transformation talent. It's useless. Chu Xiu's voice just fell point the metal that had been sucked into the sky by the magnetic field turned around and flew towards the chimpanzee point and turned into a sharp spear in midair point buff. In an instant, Lu Wei, who jumped up, was strung into a gird by spears. You kill the LV2 awakened. EXP plus 500. From Lu Wei to being beheaded by Chu Xiu point everything happens in an instant. Before Luan and the others could even react, they saw a corpse full of holes and fell down. Lu Wei was killed just like that. Cui pinged's hair stood on end. But he hadn't had time to react. Chu Xiu's eyes were already locked on him point name. CUIPINGDES*X. Male. Talent. Poisonous mist breath LV1. Spitous gas from the mouth. Self-immune to the poisonous gas. Another waste skill. Chu Xiu only glanced at it, and the dozens of rifles suspended in the sky turned around one after another. The trigger was pulled automatically point bang 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 point accompanied by the intensive gunshots. Cui Ping didn't have time to let out a breath of poison gas. The whole person was beaten into a hornet's nest. You kill the LV1 awakened. EXP plus 200. After killing 2 awakens one after another, Chu Xiu's eyes fell on the high prison wall. The last 2 people. Point 1 is Luan who has already been scanned. Point another. It is a strong man dressed like a fitness trainer. Name. Feng Yang. Deb. Gender. Male. Talent. Strength enhancement LV2. Yo. Your ability is not bad. Chu Xiu finished. The whole person disappeared instantly. There was only a faint wisp of green smoke left. What about the others? Luan exclaimed. As soon as the words fell, Chu Xiu's figure was like a flickering slit. A shout point instantly appeared on the side of the strong man. Feng Yang point ding. Successful copying. Obtain power enhancement LV2. Thanks. The moment the copy was completed, a coin flew out of Chu Xiu's pocket and turned into a small flying knife. Point instantly ran through Feng Yang's brain. Until death, Feng Yang realized what happened. Point he only saw Chu Xiu disappear suddenly, and then someone tapped on the shoulder. Point turn around. I saw a flying knife rapidly enlarged in the pupil. Point you kill the LV2 awakened. EXP plus 500. From Chu Xiu shot to the death of the 3 awakened people. Everything happened between lightning and flint. On the high wall, Luan, the only one still alive, was speechless. Point too fast. As a speeder, I can't see how Chu Xiu came here just now. It's like teleporting. Luan didn't know, but the fact was that Chu Xiu had indeed teleported over. Do you know why I left you at the end? Chu Xiu fell on the high wall point while speaking. The hand subconsciously touched the concrete pillar next to him, and the moment he touched it, the earth sense of the Imperial Earth immediately noticed that there was a figure moving underground. Ah, so there is another one that can pass through walls. Chu Xiu was enlightened. No wonder why it feels like someone is missing. Done. Chu Xiu tapped the wall lightly with his fingers. Daboom. In an instant, the earth rolled up, and the soil wrapped around a translucent figure. Brought it to the ground. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. During the whole process, the figure kept drilling down, just like swimming in the soil. But the dirt kept rolling up. The speed of the figure escaping the ground could not keep up with the speed of the mud surging, and was quickly brought up. Name: Hugan Gang, S**X, male, talent, escape LV1, can only escape into soil and rocks, cannot penetrate metals, lead and other substances, only into dirt and rocks. After the mud brought the escaping figure to the ground, Chu Xiu took the opportunity to scan it, but the result was somewhat disappointing. Because of this level of evasion, Chu Xiu can also do it through his earth defense ability, nothing more than to use Imperial soil just to get tunnel that can accommodate a walk. It's useless. Chu Xiu finished. A ray of silver light ended the life of this person. You killed the LV2 awakened. EXP plus 500. Chapter 130. Don't kill and keep it for the new year. After the last whole card was also found and killed by Chu Xiu, high wall. Only Chu Xiu and Luan were left. At this time, Luan no longer had the arrogant appearance he had before. Some are just frightened and disturbed. How arrogant was before, how embarrassing it is now. Impossible. Everyone is awakened. Why are you so powerful? Luan couldn't understand. Why does a magnetic field controller have such a fast speed? It's so fast that even the speeder can't see it clearly. And a face to face, it killed 4 awakens in 1 second. At this time, Luan couldn't have a trace of fighting spirit in his heart. As he spoke, his eyes kept glassing to the side. Stop struggling. Chu Xiu saw that Luan wanted to escape. Immediately spreads the magnetic field energy to the widest range. But obviously Luan could not detect the change in the magnetic field. After he looked in one direction, in an instant, it turned into a black shadow and jumped out as fast as a cheetah. Do not. It should be said that it is several times faster than a cheetah. It's not over. After running away, Luan suddenly turned around and roared at Chu Xiu, who was standing high on the wall. As if this would ease the fear in his heart. But turning around, bang, Luan bumped into something and fell to the ground. You. After seeing what he hit, Luan was completely shocked. Chu Xiu, who was still standing on the fence just now, turn around. He actually ran in front of him. However, Luan didn't hit Chu Xiu himself, he just hit the repulsive magnetic field around Chu Xiu. It was then bounced back by the repelling magnetic field. So, is your limit so fast? Chu Xiu looked down at Luan, who fell to the ground, with a hint of sarcasm in his words. Do not. Luan wanted to run again, but the body seems to have entered a kind of weightless space. Sudden up in the air. What did you do to me, Lu? And waved his limbs indiscriminately. But because the body is hanging in the air, there is nowhere to borrow, so I can only watch myself slowly hanging in the air. It's just controlling a dying person. Chu Xiu said. He lightly patted Luan on the shoulder. Successful copying. Get primary haste LV2 the moment the system beeps sounds. Chu Xiu took a step back. Be happy. This is the first time I've used this thing in combat. Chu Xiu was talking. While turning the repulsive magnetic field that enveloped Luan, the attributes were reversed. From the original state of repulsion with the terrestrial magnetic field. Become attracted to each other, from a repulsive magnetic field to a gravitational field. What? Accompanied by a scream. Luan, whose body was suspended 1 meter in the air, was suddenly slammed into the ground by an invisible force. Slap. The moment of landing. Luan was directly pressed into a meat pie. It's like being run over by a road roller. You kill the LV2 awakened. EXP plus 500. Surprisingly useful. Chu Xiu shrugged. I didn't expect this trick to be quite clean. Under the mutual attraction of 2 terrible magnetic fields, the corpse was directly squashed. Not a drop of blood spilled out. Instead, it is close to the ground, as thin as a piece of paper. System, expand my current properties. After killing Luan, Chu Xiu called out in his heart. Name, Chu Xiu system level. 2 strength. 3 plus 32 agility 138 plus 54 physique. 8 energy. 1183 left square bracket talents, magnetic field control LV5, lightning control LV4, earth defying LV4, primary self-healing LV3, primary flashing LV3, giant power LV3, strength enhancement LV2, primary haste LV2, used slot. 8/10 left square bracket subordinates, Yanyai, 100, Li Qiu, 100, Steelers, 93, Zhang Heoping, Annie, 82, experience. 38,415, although 2 abilities are copied at one time point, but the change in properties is not much. The overall increase is not large, but it is normal. After all, they are all low-level skills. Chu Xiu was not surprised at all point, because he copied these 2 abilities. The main purpose was not to improve his strength. Instead, after the system is upgraded, there will be a ability fusion function, and these skills will be used to improve other skills. For example, the strength enhancement just copied point. Not surprisingly point, this ability should be able to upgrade and copy the giant talent that Yanyai obtained. It's a pity that I didn't meet the awakener of the space system. If only the flicker could be upgraded. Chu Xiu finished point. He was amused by his own insatiable greed point. Awakeners of the space system are so rare point. If I can meet one, I'm already very lucky, and I actually want to meet the second one. Forget it, let it happen. Chu Xiu shook his head point. Turn around and fly towards Hushan prison point, asking for flowers point. At this time the riots in Hushan prison are over. Without the guns, the dozens of thugs could not resist the anger of the prisoners. More than half of the people were beaten to death. Only less than 10 people survived, but they also had blue noses and swollen faces, and were thrown to the ground tied up with 5 flowers. Even the awakened who jumped off the high wall before the fat pig point, they were also tied together with hemp ropes. Although this guy is immune to physical damage, his strength is only 2 or 3 times stronger than ordinary people point. The hemp rope is bundled 4 or 5 more times, and the bundle is firm point. So far point from Chu Xiu, until the riots ended point. Just a minute or 2 point. A riot that gathered many awakens and dozens of survivors was suppressed in such an understatement point. But Chu Xiu himself is not surprised at all point. Even before coming, this result was already expected. Chu Xiu's strength has far surpassed any awakened in the same period point. Even the goddess of thunder in the previous life, Li Qiu, the growth rate is far less than that. It's the leader here. Seeing Chu Xiu flying over, everyone in Hushan prison fell to their knees. The last time I knelt down, it was the result of Chu Xiu's deterrence with strong force point, and this time point they are sincerity. The leader is mighty. The leader is invincible. Leader. Blessed as Dong He Shabi Nanshan, a group of rough men full of tattoos. Maybe he was the black boss of a certain force before he was arrested point. Now Wu Yang Gang knelt on the ground point, one by one racking their brains with a barren and desert-like culture, frantically looking for compliments. Even the words for birthday are used point. How many cultural people can there be in a group of prisoners? Okay, what to do? Chu Xiu heard a black line. Chief, what about these people? A strong bald man with tattoos pointed at the thugs who were bound and asked, "Don't kill it and keep it for the new year?" Chu Xiu said unabashedly, as a ruler, even the leader of a small base must have zero tolerance for one thing. That is betrayal. All trays must die. There can be no woman's kindness in this matter, and it must not be the first of its kind. Why did this miss an awakener? At this moment, Chu Xiu noticed the fat pig mountain that was bound by 5 flowers. Chapter 131, Professor of the Academy of Agricultural Sciences. Hazan King. What? At this time, the fat pig was bitten off by a basket point, rolling on the ground in pain point. The fat belly was covered with dirt on the ground point. It looked very embarrassed. Name, Doofy Long S**X. Male. Talent, Elastic Fat LV2. Flying Dragon. I think you are a fat dragon? Chu Xiu finished. Wave your hand. A steel pipe not far away immediately turned into a spear and shot at the fat pig. But the next second a scene that Chu Xiu did not expect happened. Boo, the incomparably sharp spear pierced only a little of the skin of the fat pig. Then it was bounced off by the thick fat, elastic fat. Body fat will become extremely elastic, absorb shock, and be immune to most physical attacks. So hard. Chu Xiu 563 was surprised and glanced at the attribute panel of the fat pig again. Don't say, this stuff is quite capable. Just being immune to physical attacks restrained most of the melee awakeners, although the ability is not bad. But Chu Xiu has no intention of copying. Too ugly. Chu Ke didn't want to turn himself into a dead fat of 200 or 300 pounds. Brother, you can't kill me anyway. It's better to let me go. Let's manage the base together. Woman, half of us. No, you 7 and 3. See, Chu Xiu did no harm to himself. The fat pig, who was a little scared just now, was relieved and even discussed the conditions with Chu Xiu. Brother, it really doesn't work, as long as I'm underage. The rest is yours. Seeing that Chu Xiu did not speak, fat pig backed off again. Obviously, a basket has already been bitten off. The fat pig is still immortal. He also dreamed of ruling the base together with Chu Xiu, and also took the attention of the underage girls in the base. Ha! Chu Xiu sneered, his eyes extremely cold. The physical defense is quite high. I just don't know how your magic resistance is. Chu Xiu said. The thunder light gathered in the palm, and in the blink of an eye, or thunder and lightning spear condensed. No, brother, listen to me. You. Listen to me. The fat pig who saw this scene panicked. Keep begging Chu Xiu to stop. Just then, a little girl took her mother's hand and rushed out of the crowd. The fat pig recognizes it. This was the mother and daughter he wanted to violate just now. I said, as soon as the leader of Chu comes, you will be dead. The girl exclaimed as if to vent. As soon as the words fell, the lightning spear in Chu Xiu's hand was thrown out. Boom. The moment the spear hits bright white, the dazzling light caused the people around to turn their heads unconsciously, or simply close their eyes. When you open your eyes again, the figure of the fat pig has long since disappeared, and there is only a circular pit blown out by the lightning energy. There are many black ashes in the pit. It looks a bit like ashes. You kill the LV2 awakened. EXP plus 500. That who and who. Hurry up and take a broom and sweep it, so as not to let the ashes float to the vegetable field. Chu Xiu ordered quickly. Resolved the last slippery fish. Chu Xiu put his eyes on another group of people standing in the square. These people stand in line venomous, like a lamb to be slaughtered. Previously, when Chu Xiu used the magnetic energy to absorb the guns of the thugs, the survivors in the Hushan base, without further ado, he rolled up his sleeves and fought the thugs, but the gang didn't respond. Maybe they are afraid that after resisting, they will suffer more severe retaliation. But anyway, the cowardice of these people still made Chu Xiu very disappointed. You all came from the southwest base. Invasion of radio through magnetic field energy. Chu Xiu's voice rang on the prison radio. The crowd was noisy. But no one dared to stand up and answer Chu Xiu's question. After all, this riot was started by some of them. So they are all afraid of being implicated. Seeing this, Chu Xiu, even more disappointed. Just when Chu Xiu was about to get angry, an old woman stood up. Looking back at the boss, we all came from the southwest base, but this riot, we were not involved. I also hope the leader Mingche, the old woman, was 60 or 70 years old. Speak well. Moreover, after being displaced for so many days, she still can't erase the literate book fragrance on her body. Name, Hazan King. Gender, female. Talent, plant catalysis. Inactive, consume mental power to make plants within a certain range grow rapidly. Chu Xiu glanced. Unexpectedly, this old woman is still an awakener, but it has not been activated yet. It belongs to the second batch of awakened ones. More importantly, Chu Xiu vaguely recognized the identity of the old woman. Ah. You. Professor He from Benny's Academy of Agricultural Sciences? Chu Xiu asked with uncertainty. Although it didn't take long for the doomsday to erupt, Chu Xiu was, after all, a rebirth who had been struggling for many years in the doomsday. For student life experience, can't remember exactly. Yes, Chief Professor Hay did not hide it. But she didn't feel that her identity was anything special. But, I'm just a useless old woman now. Professor Hay said with a wry smile. Now in this world, the police say that there is a professor from the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, and any professor is useless on the way to escape. The elderly Hazon King was almost pushed out of the car and fed the zombies because he was regarded as a burden. Fortunately, someone later found out with conscience and survived. It's really you, Professor Hay. Of course, Chu Xiu would not despise Professor Hay because of his old age. Because Chu Xiu is very clear, before the end of the world, the reason why human beings can become the masters of all things is not because of their fangs and claws. It is the inheritance of knowledge. An old professor with a lot of knowledge, but also agricultural related, the value of such a person. 4.1 definitely no lower than an awakened. What's more, this old professor is a potential awakener himself. Don't worry, Professor Hay. I will let people investigate in detail about the riots. People who participate will not run away, and those who do not participate, I will not kill. Chu Xiu promises. Moreover, Chu Xiu did not intend to kill innocent people. After all, he is now short of manpower, workers and labor. As for you, Chu Xiu's eyes fell on the aged Professor Hay again. Talking. Suddenly a person came to mind. TMD, what about that boy Slim Monkey? Why haven't you come over for so long? Chu Xiu finished. Directly use the magnetic field energy to invade the surrounding radio waves. A brief public broadcast was sent around. Short to just 2 words. Skinny Monkey, 5 minutes. Chapter 132. Have you watched too many movies? Hurry up. The leader urged us. Thin Monkey and others who received the broadcast ran and rushed all the way. The accelerator pedal almost sinks into the floor. Finally, before the 5-minute deadline, he returned to the Hushan base. Leader, Chief, me, I'm back. Do not wait for the vehicle to stop. The Skinny Monkey opened the car door and jumped out. Looking at the Thin Monkey running towards him, Chu Xiu seemed to have thought of something. It seems that he has not checked the loyalty of the Thin Monkey. Then, his gaze stopped on the Thin Monkey. Name, Zhao Wenhao, S**X, male, loyalty 84, talent, none. The scan results were satisfactory. Although the loyalty of the Skinny Monkey is not as high as that of the Steel Man, it has reached the level of die-hard loyalty. But also beyond 80. Okay, count your life as a kid. Chu Xiu shook his head. To be honest, he was really considering whether to kill the Thin Monkey just now. Although the killing intent was dispelled. But it's not just because of Thin Monkey's loyalty standards, but because Chu Xiu understands this incident cannot be entirely blamed on the Thin Monkey. After all, he is just an ordinary person, and he cannot stop the riots initiated by the Awakened Ones, let alone 6 Awakened Ones able to report the situation as soon as possible. 23. It can be considered to have made up for it. The Thin Monkey here has no idea that he has just walked around the gate of hell. But he also guessed. This time you may lose your life, but the loyalty of up to 84 still made him take the risk of being executed and drive him back. I'm sorry, brother, I'll let you down. After coming to Chu Xiu, the Thin Monkey knelt down with a plop. Then I don't know which old port movie I saw the bridge from. The Skinny Monkey pulled the dagger from his waist. Then grit your teeth. Directly chop off 3 fingers of the left hand. What movie did you see this from? Chu Xiu rolled his eyes. Although he could stop it, he didn't make a move. Forgot. But isn't that what it's all about in movies? What? The boss ordered. If the younger brother didn't he do it well, he chopped his hands and his feet. The Skinny Monkey endured the pain and answered with difficulty. One of his hobbies in life is to watch some police and gangster films, old Hong Kong films and the like. Okay, you go and bandage it first. Wait for someone to come. Chu Xiu hasn't finished speaking yet. In the sky not far away, a black spot appeared. It was Zhang Haoping's helicopter. As expected at first, by the time they arrived, the riots at Hushan base were over. Boss, what is this? As soon as the helicopter landed, Zhang Haoping got off the plane and immediately smelled a faint smell of blood. Survivors can also be seen carrying bodies not far away. It's nothing. It's just a small riot. Chu Xiu said lightly point after speaking. He pointed to the survivors at the southwest base not far away. Everyone is over there. Go and pick it yourself. By the way, be careful when picking. Kill if you encounter a thorn. Don't talk nonsense. I don't want what happened today to happen again anywhere. Chu Xiu's tone was serious. Zhang Haoping had already figured out the whole story and naturally understood why Chu Xiu said this more. Don't worry, Chief. Zhang Haoping assured point after speaking. He walked towards the survivors. Interestingly, Zhang Haoping discovered that there are many familiar faces among the survivors after all. They all escaped from the southwest base. Under the age of 60, there are no crippled adult males. Stand up, adult. Women under the age of 50, with ingenuity, also stand up. Zhang Haoping walked up to this group of people and started the first round of screening. Sir Zhang, survivors of Southwest Base Point. Seeing that it was Zhang Haoping, they were all surprised. Point after being surprised, many people started to cooperate. Boss, are you going to take all these people away? The skinny monkey asked in a low voice. Don't ask if you shouldn't. Chu Xiu glanced at him and was so frightened that the skinny monkey immediately fell silent, not daring to make a sound. Follow me. Upon seeing this, Chu Xiu led Thin Monkey to Professor Hay and instructed, from now on, Hushan Base will be under the management of this professor. You just need to follow her orders. Yes, how dare the skinny monkey refuted. Point it was a big surprise to survive. Boss, what do you mean? The elderly Professor Hay looked puzzled. Point a look of doubt appeared on the kind face. That's it. Young adults will be taken away, but the elderly, children and some women, will be left behind. I'm ready to let you take them and grow vegetables and grains here. Chu Xiu explained. Point now the food reserves seem to be abundant. It seems that you can find a lot of food in any supermarket. But actually, this situation will not last 6 months. Will change. Not to mention the fresh food such as fruits and vegetables. It is the staple food such as rice and flour. Without human maintenance, it will go moldy and deteriorate within half a year. That is to say, point before long, the food produced before the end will spoil. Point the food crisis is just around the corner. I understand what you mean. Point, but in Professor Hay's view, Chu Xiu did this not only for food, but also for the old, weak, sick and disabled like her. You are a good leader, not only because you have great strength, but also because you have a kind heart. Point Professor Hay excitedly held Chu Xiu's hand. Point a grateful smile appeared on his kind face. Point the thin monkey next to him was stunned when he heard these words, and various images appeared in his mind. Point it was when Chu Xiu first came to Hushan prison. Point murder picture apostrophe my eldest brother. There are 80 people who have not killed 100. But they are still kind, of course. Thin Monkey just thought about it in his heart and didn't dare to say it. Even Chu Xiu himself was a little embarrassed and pulled out his hand in embarrassment. Point I really did not expect one day he will be called a good person. That is probably the case. As for what vegetables and grains to grow, Professor Hay, you have full discretion. 5. Chu Xiu changed the subject. Leader, what about the defense of the base? See, Chu Xiu is about to leave. Point the skinny monkey couldn't help but ask. Point this riot is equivalent to sounding the alarm bell. Just relying on a few ordinary people with guns, it is impossible to defend the base. I asked Zhang Haoping to leave you 563 people first. After 2 days, when the output comes up, defense will not be a problem. Chu Xiu thought for a moment and said. Point the yield of his mouth. Naturally, the production volume of mechanical spiders Beziro's casual design unknowingly helped Chu Xiu solve another problem. Point, that is the defense of the Hushan base and the arsenal. Point mechanical spider much more reliable than human soldiers. Okay, that's all. You can handle the rest yourself. Chu Xiu waved his hand. It's good to be the boss. You don't have to do everything, just order it. Chief Chu. Just as Chu Xiu was about to leave, a little girl jumped out of the crowd. Chu Xiu stopped. Point he felt that the little girl looked a little familiar. Chief Chu. The Little girl ran to Chu Xiu out of breath. Then he took out a piece of chocolate from the innermost pocket of his clothes. Maybe it's because I've been holding it for too long and I'm reluctant to eat it. The chocolate wrappers are crumpled. This is for you, the girl said, and handed over the chocolate that she had been reluctant to eat. Chu Xiu was slightly taken aback, but see the brilliance in the girl's eyes. Still reaching for it. Thanks, have I seen you somewhere? Chu Xiu asked. What? Chief Chu, you still remember me? Hearing Chu Xiu's question, the girl cried out in surprise. Then nodded again and again. Well, right on the pedestrian street. I was with my mother, and you saved us. Chapter 133. 2 days. Annie turned out to be a shaman. After leaving Hushan base, Chu Xiu flew fast over the city, like when he came, but in its hands. But he kept clutching at a crumpled piece of chocolate while frowning. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Unconsciously, he didn't even notice that he deviates from the flight path. When Chu Xiu comes back to his senses, he has flown into an unfamiliar area. This is Silver X City? Chu Xiu found the street sign. Only then did I realize that I accidentally entered the boundary of Yin X City. That is the bombing ground of the mushroom egg before. It's also where the Black Forest is. Why did you run here? Chu Xiu frowned. Fortunately, he has only just set foot in the boundaries of Yin X City, which belongs to the suburbs of the suburbs. Did not enter the radiation area of mushroom eggs, not even in the Black Forest. But since it's here, Chu Xiu also has some curiosity. What is the Black Forest? Known as the forbidden place of death in his previous life. After all, Chu Xiu only heard that, never seen it with my own eyes. It should be fine to look at it from a distance. 5. With this idea, Chu Xiu increased the repulsive magnetic field, and the whole person flew higher and higher. The scope of what is seen is getting wider and wider. Finally, when approaching more than 200 meters above the ground, Chu Xiu saw a black area at the end of the horizon. It's bright day, but it's pitch black there, downright black. It's like a black hole, absorbing all the light. So far apart, Chu Xiu could feel a strange chill. Is this the Black Forest? Chu Xiu stared at the black area in the distance. Sudden, a palpitating feeling came to my mind. It was as if something in the dark forest noticed Chu Xiu's gaze. Watching too. Grass. Chu Xiu looked surprised. Then, without hesitation, a few flashes left the area. Chu Xiu breathed a sigh of relief until the feeling of palpitations disappeared completely. A rank monster. It might even be an S-class, although it has run to the safe area. Chu Xiu still had lingering fears just now. A spiritual force with great malice entered Chu Xiu's mind in an inexplicable way. Imprinted an indescribable picture, an indescribable forest, all kinds of weird trees. Tree trunks are full of eyes. What is even more frightening is that in the middle of the forest, there is a tall but indescribable figure. Chu Xiu searched the vocabulary. There are no words to describe that figure. I can't even remember what that figure looks like. I just felt that the boundless darkness suddenly struck. But this thing doesn't seem to be able to leave the Black Forest. After calming down, Chu Xiu vaguely realized something very important. No matter what you just saw, it seemed impossible to leave the Black Forest. The mental power just now was not so much an attack as it was a deterrent. The purpose is to drive yourself away. But anyway, there is such a thing at the door. Although Chu Xiu knew the Black Forest will not spread outward, and the things inside will not come out without any accident. But what if be neighbors with this thing? Anyone would have trouble sleeping. Forget it. It's useless to think so much, but it's still useless. Chu Xiu shook his head. I'm still too weak. Although his own growth rate has already crushed the vast majority of awakeners of the same level. But in front of these monsters with strange abilities, still not enough. Just like before, the forgotten silence in the arsenal of Jushin. If there were mental manipulation abilities at that time, wouldn't it be immune to its forgetting? With this thought, Chu Xiu increased the repulsive magnetic field and returned to Yijiang Garden at a faster speed. And the next 2 days, Chu Xiu is either hunting zombies or on his way. Although the corpse tide in H City is over, But the millions of zombies did not disappear. There is no mastermind's command point. The zombies returned to their wandering state point. But because it was too dense before, even if they started to wander, these zombies did not spread very widely. In general, still relatively concentrated. This also facilitated the hunting of Chu Xiu and others. That's right, to improve efficiency. Chu Xiu was not hunting zombies alone. He also pulled out Li Qiuyu and Yunyi point. Not even little Annie and little Teofu were spared point. Since the First World War, a transition, Anne, who tamed a zebra-winged tiger, pushed her combat power directly into the first echelon. And her loyalty also broke through 80 and was successfully bound by Chu Xiu. As for the little peach, her loyalty is even higher. It directly broke through 90 and reached the D-hood. But it is not surprising that, since the death of her mother, Xiao Teofu has regarded Chu Xiu as her only support point. 2 days several streets outside the city were slaughtered into rivers of blood. Zombie corpses are everywhere. At the beginning, Chu Xiu also thought about cleaning up the body. Afterwards, it really couldn't be cleaned up, and it just rotted away. Breed monsters. Let's breed just kill. You can get a little more experience with the efforts of Chu Xiu and several women in just 2 days. Chu Xiu's experience value went from more than 30,000 to over 100,000, a staggering 160,000, although in the process, most of the killed are zombies, and the experience value of zombies is generally not high. The problem is that I can't stand the number. 2 days. The number of zombies who died in the hands of everyone is in units of 10,000. Okay, that's it for today. Looking at the experience, that has reached 160,000. Chu Xiu said with satisfaction. While talking still in the heart of the communication system. Used part of the experience on Annie and Toffee. Ding. Consume 1000 EXP. Subordinate An. Animal affinity. Upgrade to LV3. Ding. Consume 10,000 EXP. Subordinate. Teofu. U2. Upgrade to LV4. Accompanied by a beat. Annie, who was riding a striped winged tiger, and Teofu, who was stepping on a moving dirt slope, instantly sensed their own changes. But the two girls behaved differently. Brother, I'm stronger again. Listen father. Teofu said frankly that she has become stronger, and the range of the earth sense has also been heard. Father, hey, but little Annie only screamed in surprise at the beginning. Then he was very silent. Want to make a fortune in silence. Li Wang Heo, I don't know who you are guarding. Chu Xiu flew over and patted Annie on the back of the head. Ow. Annie cried out in grief. Roar. Hearing the movement, the zebra tiger Jenny suddenly let out a roar. Seems to want justice for Annie. What? The injury is healed and the skin is itchy. Seeing this, Chu Xiu slapped the tiger on the head again. Jenny just wanted to get angry, but something seems to come to mind. Roar. In the end, it was just a weak growl. Protest. It's your acquaintance. Otherwise, today's dinner is braised tiger meat. Chu Xiu laughed. There is a very interesting thing about this tiger. He bound Annie by himself, but Annie did not kill zombies. It was actually this tiger who killed zombies. Despite this, the zombie killed by tiger Jenny was still counted on Annie. That is to say, the grave Chu Xiu still gained experience. Bound. The pet. Chu Xiu thought to himself. Chapter 134. Yin Yi's nanomolecule battlesuit. The four of Chu Xiu returned to Yijiang Garden. I haven't entered the community yet, but I have just stepped into a position 100 meters around the community. 48 laser beams came over, precisely locked on the eyebrows of the four Chu Xiu. Certainly, not a laser weapon. Just the usual laser pointers on modern rifles. Immediately afterwards, a 2-meter high mechanical spider came out from a hidden place outside the community. The mechanical spider at this time, fully armed. The original body was round and looked a little silly, but now it looks like a mechanical beast showing its fangs. There are 4 machine guns in total, 2 7.62 caliber light machine guns and 2 12.7 caliber heavy machine guns. Chains hang from below. In addition, there are 2 revolving grenade launchers on both sides of the fuselage, can fire grenades of different calibers with so many weapons and ammunition. The overall weight of the mechanical spider has soared several times when walking, constantly making loud thumping noises. Identification completed. Through the photosensitive camera, the mechanical spider has identified the identities of the 4 Chu Xiu people. The original red indicator light turned blue. Then turn around and return to the original position to stand guard. No wonder Beizao said this thing's intelligence is not high. Chu Xiu shook his head. This is not the first time such a new long. The photosensitive 563 camera of the mechanical spider has an image acquisition range of more than 500 meters. That is, in theory, the mechanical spider can precisely strike enemies within a range of 500 meters, but theory and reality are often at odds due to insufficient computing power. Mechanical spiders can accurately distinguish between enemy and friend only within a range of 100 meters. Therefore, in the unmanned AI mode, the mechanical spider will only strike when the target enters the 100 meter range and recognizes the enemy and the enemy. I think this stuff is awesome. With it, we can finally get a good night's sleep. Yi thinks that the mechanical spider is very good. Mainly because she had seen the power of this thing. Just yesterday, a winged demon was beaten into a sieve by a mechanical spider before it even got close to the community. Okay, let's go in. Chu Xiu was non-committal and took the lead in the community. Since the mechanical spider, the Steelers don't have to spend all day in the security room. Instead, he went out to hunt zombies and provided Chu Xiu with experience. You are back. Entering the community, Beizao rarely worked in the laboratory. Instead, he was at the door of villa number 8. Waiting for the crowd. Deb, Yin, your suit is ready. Beizao didn't sell anything, and after seeing Yin, he said directly, what suit? Yin was taken aback. Then I remembered that Chu Xiu seemed to have said what kind of battle clothes Beizao had designed for him. Nanofiber body armor using bionic technology. It is composed of polymer materials that mimic muscle fibers, and the interior, hearing Yin Yi's question, Beizao answered honestly, Yin. Yi was at a loss when she heard it and interrupted quickly, why don't you just take me to see it? It is good. Beizao nodded. She turned and walked towards her own laboratory. You go back first, I'll take a look. Chu Xiu was curious and followed. Enter the basement of Villa 9. In the past 2 days, all kinds of strange things have appeared in Beizao's laboratory. A lot of things just look from the outside. You can't tell what they are doing. Can't even name it. At this, entering the laboratory, Beizao pointed to a half-human high black box in the corner. You throw something so important in the corner. Although Yin didn't know what was the use of this suit. But words like nanofiber and bulletproof can also detect the unusualness of this thing. Something else is more important than it. Facing Yin Yi's doubts, Beizao said lightly, Yin. Yi was speechless. Obediently walked to the corner and opened the black box. The box is opened. Yin Yi's expression gradually changed from expectation to weirdness. I saw in the box there was a strange costume in black all over the whole body, is composed of countless black fibers, and the shape of this black fiber also imitates muscle fibers, resulting in this suit. At first glance, it looks a bit like a special camera actor wearing a muscle suit. It's just not so bloated. The overall shape is still smooth, but it looks a little fiercer, and this suit isn't all nanofibers behind it. There is an artificial spine made of metal. I don't know what it's used for overall. It looks like a combination of tights and exoskeleton armor, half mesh, half battlesuit. This thing, it's too ugly, isn't it? As a girl, Yin Yi is full of this kind of muscle sense. It is true that there is not much affection. Damn. It's a little handsome. Come on, put it on and show me. But Chu Xiu, who was beside him, had his eyes glowing. This kind of half mecha, half battle clothes thing, the lethality to men is much greater than that of women. Oh. Seeing Chu Xiu speaking, Yin Yi had to pick up the nanosuit and try to put it on. In the unactivated nanosuit, the biomimetic muscle fibers on the surface are in a relaxed state. Yin Yi can easily put it on. It even seemed loose. Now, what? Yin Yi wondered. Tap the operating screen on your left wrist to activate. Beizao finished. Yin Yi obeyed obediently. The moment the activation button is clicked, every fiber on the nanosuit tightens instantly. Wrap Yin Yi tightly. Wow, it's very comfortable to wear. After a short period of discomfort. Yen Yi was surprised to find that she could not feel any restraint. Raise your hands. So smooth. Nanosuit is like a new skin. You can even feel the breeze blowing. After wearing it, Yen Yi immediately performed the famous scene of true fragrance. It was ugly just now, and now I can't wait to learn about this battlesuit. Bei Zio, what are the merits of this battlesuit? Yen Yi said. She wanted to take a small step forward, but her body jumped out like an unloaded cannonball. Boom. It directly hit Bei Zio's workbench. A corner of the work table was smashed, and the semi-finished machinery on the table was smashed into pieces. Congratulations, you broke Zhang Haoping's left arm. Bei Zio was expressionless. Said lightly. PS. The picture is a hand-painted female nanosuit, not drawn by me. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 1. The loser is called Dad. Zhang Haoping, who was far away in the Jushan arsenal, did not know. Because of Yen Yi's carelessness, her robotic arm had to arrive a few days later. At this time he, busy with the production work in the arsenal. From the Hushan base, Zhang Haoping brought a total of 160 survivors to the arsenal point. In order to better manage these survivors also, in order to improve the defense force of the mountain point, Zhang Haoping did not start the production line of weapons and ammunition, but took the lead in starting the production line of mechanical spiders according to the machine tool data provided by Bei Zio. With the completion of mechanical spider assembly point, whether it is Saoshan or Hushan base, the defensive strength has been greatly enhanced. If anyone dares to rebel now, then the first thing he has to consider is how to face these cold killing machines. Back to Yijiang Garden. Yen Yi, who bumped into the workbench, was dumbfounded. Move lightly by yourself. Why is it so fast? The nanofibers of the battlesuit will stimulate the human body to increase the various attributes of your body. You are in the default mode now, and all the values have been improved to a certain extent. Strength, speed, defense, jumping ability, even nerve reaction speed. Bei Zio seemed to see Yen Yi's doubts and explained in a flat tone. In addition to the default mode, there is also a power mode. In strength mode, the nanosuit will maximize your strength performance. Bei Zio went on to say, defense mode, the same as power mode, only improves defense. Speed mode, which maximizes maneuverability, enhances speed and jumping power, as well as neural response speed, which is also the mode I think is best for you. When Bei Zio designed this suit, he focused on speed and defense. After all, Yen Yi's power is already very strong. In addition to these 4 basic modes, there is also a burst mode. In this mode, your stats will be maximized. The price is life overdraft. In the end, Bei Zio likely added a sentence. Everything has a price. The principle of the nanosuit. In fact, it stimulates the human body through nanofibers and stimulates the potential of the human body in a short period of time, coupled with the auxiliary role of the battlesuit itself. In order to achieve the purpose of enhancing combat power. Understood. Then I will try other modes now. Yen Yi didn't take Bei Zio's last sentence to heart at all. At this time she give full play to the true fragrance law. Full of joy, he checked the control screen on his wrist and slid through the various modes. Battlesuit. Switch to power mode, accompanied by Yen Yi's second feeling shout. The nanosuit suddenly turned red, but if you look closely, it's not that the battlesuit has turned red. But the inside of the nanofibers is filled with faint red charged ions. Inside the suit, countless nanofibers so thin that they were invisible to the naked eye, like needles, were stuck on Yen Yi's body, constantly releasing red charged ions. The artificial spine behind the suit. There are 3 elongated graphene batteries inside, which are continuously outputting energy. Ugh. Yen Yi instinctively let out an angry shout. In just a short while, she was as high as she was on a stimulant. His eyes were also bloodshot because of congestion. Haha. I feel like I have an endless amount of energy. Yen Yi was very excited. After jumping for a while, the floor tiles under her feet could not bear her strength and shattered directly. Come on, break my wrist. Seeing this, Chu Xiu wanted to test Yen Yi's strength. What? You sure? Yen Yi flicked off the mask of her battlesuit, and there was a hint of surprise at the corner of her mouth. but a faint expression of disdain points as if to say, you can't stop talking nonsense. You be asterisk asterisk ch. Chu Xiu is very aware of Yin Yi's power after all. He and Yin Yi's discussion was not once or twice, although they are all at night to learn. Chu Xiu knows, Yin Yi without a battle uniform point the strength is about 15 times that of ordinary people point and Chu Xiu himself, because when he went to the Hushan base 2 days ago, he copied another power type ability, strength enhancement LV2 point although it is a low level talent that is not as good as Jali, but it also made Chu Xiu's power times that of ordinary people. Okay, but if you lose, don't beg for mercy, and call daddy. A wicked smile appeared on Yin Yi's face point. The nanosuit gave her great confidence, and she believed that she would be able to regain a victory this time. Point will lose the field these 2 nights. Get it back, huh? I don't know who is begging for mercy and calling dad all day long. Chu Xiu snorted coldly, waved his hand, and sucked a metal table over the two sat facing each other. Point for flowers. The wrestling started. Point at first glance, Yin Yi in the nanosuit is still very slender and slender after all. The suit does not change the proportions of a person's body. Point but in comparison, you will find that her wrist is almost as thick as Chu Xiu's. It's like saying point at this time, Yin Yi was enlarged by 1 size in the same proportion. Start. Yin Yi gave an order. The two of them worked together at the same time. Point caca almost in an instant. The floor tiles under the two of them were torn apart at the same time. Even the metal table couldn't handle the terrifying power of the two of them. Point start deforming with a squeak. Chu Xiu had to devote some of his energy to releasing magnetic energy to maintain the shape of the metal table. The wrestling didn't take long. Chu Xiu was surprised to find, with the blessing of the battle uniform, Yin Yi's strength seems to have surpassed himself. Haha, let you bully people at night. Now you know how powerful I am. Call my sister. Call me sister and I'll spare you. Yin Yi also discovered this and immediately became proud. Point it even imitated Chu Xiu's words at night. Point just replaced my father with my sister. You. TM. Chu Xiu has a black line. Point then, without hesitation, he shouted from the bottom of his heart, system, upgrade power to strengthen. Ding, consumes 1000 EXP. Strength upgrade to LV3, accompanied by a beep. Point taking advantage of this sudden influx of power, Chu Xiu slammed into Yin Yi's hand. Point, because of too much force. Point boom, the two of them tapped heavily on the metal table. Point the desktop is directly sunken. The impact even shattered several of the lab floor tiles. What, you're fooling yourself? Suddenly force. I haven't reacted yet. Before Yin Yi could react, she was beaten by Chu Xiu. Point call it careless. Actually point you can go out and test. Looking at the messed up laboratory, Beiziro finally spoke up. What? I'm sorry. Beiziro, if you have anything in the future, just tell me. I will continue to be your assistant. Yin Yi looked around, felt embarrassed, and quickly apologized. After dropping a promise, ready to leave the laboratory. When leaving, not knowing what to think, Yin Yi leaned into Chu Xiu's ear and whispered, Dad, then leave as if running away. Mountain, if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 The Thick Fog Strikes. After Yin Yi left, Chu Xiu and Beiziro looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes apparently. Point Beiziro also heard what Yin Yi said before leaving. Everyone has different XP, I understand. Beiziro said lightly. Chu Xiu has a black line. No, you understand the wool, you understand? Cough. What? This nano. Chu Xiu coughed lightly and tried to change the subject. Nanofiber body armor. Beiziro added. Yes, this is it. Can you make one for me too? Chu Xiu approached Beiziro and asked Point, although he doesn't need this thing to enhance his combat effectiveness, but no way. Point a half mecha half battle suit. It's really cool. Seeing Chu Xiu getting close to him, the corner of Beiziro's eyes actually drew a faint smile. Like an iceberg that never melts, melted 563 a little. You just laughed. Chu Xiu was slightly taken aback, thinking that he had read it wrong. You read it wrong. Yeah, Beiziro said in a calm and unwavering tone. Chu Xiu took another look carefully. It was found that Beiziro's eyes were as cold as usual, without the slightest emotion. Maybe it's an angle issue. Chu Xiu nodded. After all, a person without emotion seems unlikely to laugh, correct? Can you make one for me as well? Chu Xiu asked again. It can be, but it won't do you any favors. Nanomolecules block the mental power you release. That is to say, wearing this suit, you will not only become stronger, but also weaker. Beiziro explained lightly. Well, that's fine. Hearing Beiziro's explanation, Chu Xiu also dismissed his thoughts. In order to be handsome for a while, weakening one's own combat effectiveness is indeed a bit of a loss, but this time point Beiziro seemed to have thought of something. Remember the oblivion silence you told me about? I speculate that it should be a way of invading your mind, so you forget your memories. Although your spiritual power is strong, you have no corresponding defense means, so I'm going to help you design a mental shielding device. Beiziro spoke slowly. But when Chu Xiu listened to these words, his face became more and more strange. Is this what you're talking about? The psychic shielding device? A helmet? 5 Chu Xiu asked with a strange expression. No thoughts yet, because no suitable material has been found. However, it should be made into a helmet. It's a mental shielding device after all, and it must be protecting your brain. Beiziro nodded and admitted that it was a helmet. This time, Chu Xiu's expression was even more bizarre. In his mind, an image of a seen man with an iron helmet and a red cloak popped up unconsciously. More importantly, like Chu Xiu, this seen person is also the master of the magnetic field. Forget it, you make it. Chu Xiu wanted to refuse, but in the end, he had no choice but to accept this reality. No way. He really needs such a mental protection device. By the way, how is the progress of the genetic medicine? Chu Xiu asked. Beiziro paused for a while and paused his work. Turn around. With clear eyes, he stared at Chu Xiu. Okay, needless to say, I understand, although Beiziro didn't say a word. But Chu Xiu still reacted, waved his hand quickly, and stopped asking. In just a few days, Beiziro can design and manufacture so many things. It is already a work day and night. She takes no more than 4 hours of rest a day. I also asked about genetic medicine. It's really a bit of capitalist oppression. Researching on genetic agents requires a lot of comparative data, and it is difficult to see results in a short period of time. So my current focus is on mechanical research and development. Beiziro looked at Chu Xiu for a while and explained plainly. Done. Requested again. I checked the work efficiency of the Jishin arsenal. Very slow. If you only produce mechanical spiders, it's barely enough. But I have other options here. In addition, the energy issue should also be mentioned on the agenda, especially in Jushin. If you want to mass produce, it is far from enough to rely on backup power. 5 Beiziro threw 2 difficult questions in a row. And that doesn't include her own needs. Finally, when will you get me the other equipment I want? Other equipment in Beiziro's mouth. In fact, it is a cutting-edge scientific research equipment such as particle combat aircraft. After Chu Xiu listened, the whole person was silent for a moment. Can't you give me a break? That being said, Chu Xiu still kept these things in mind. After all, Beiziro's importance has been revealed in the past few days. Whether it is the previous corpse tide or later mechanical spiders, there is no shortage of Beiziro's credit behind it. Okay, I wrote down what you said. Let's go. Chu Xiu finished getting ready to leave. Drip, drip. In Beiziro's laboratory, a piercing alarm sounded suddenly. A siren is heard. Without saying a word, Beiziro immediately walked to the workbench and turned on the computer. What happened? What does this alert represent? Seeing Chu Xiu's reaction, Chu Xiu knew something must have happened. The sound is an energy monitoring device. I use it to monitor the space-time rift in the center of H City. Beiziro said calmly. Ever since he learned that the monsters came out of the cracks in time and space, Beizaro has been trying to find a way to monitor these cracks. You also paid attention to the space cracks in the city? Chu Xiu didn't expect it. While Beizaro was busy with so much work, he was still paying attention to the cracks in time and space in the city. Now, Chu Xiu looked at the unnamed instruments in the lab. Finally understood. Why did Beizaro say to Yin Yi, everything here is more important than your suit? Such a comparison. The nano suit was thrown in the corner, and it seemed excusable. So, is there something wrong with the space-time rift? Chu Xiu asked suspiciously. At this time in his previous life, he had already left City H because of the corpse tide point, so I don't know what happened in H City during this period. The instrument detected strong energy fluctuations, but specifically what happened in 4.1, you have to watch it to find out. As Beizaro spoke, he connected to the image of the Zinami satellite. As the satellite images gradually enlarged, a strange scene appeared in the eyes of Chu Xiu and Beizaro. White fog. Intense white mist. It is spreading rapidly from the center of the city, and it's not just H City. It can be seen from the satellite that the entire northern hemisphere is full of white fog spreading. It's like more flowers are blooming. Watch. On satellite point, the entire northern hemisphere is gradually shrouded in smog. The originally blue planet was gradually dyed white. Even more terrifying is, the orbit of the Znami satellite can only see the northern hemisphere. As for the other end of the blue star, it is unknown whether it is shrouded in white fog. Shouldn't be seeing the thick fog in the satellite image. Chu Xiu's expression was extremely solemn. It's only been half a month. How can there be thick fog? Chapter 137, The Monster in the Thick Fog. The appearance of the thick fog made Chu Xiu feel a chill down his spine. Not only because of the danger of the dense fog itself, more importantly, what happened was beyond his expectations. According to the timeline of the previous life, the first appearance of the dense fog should be 61 days after the end of the world. That is 2 months after the end of the outbreak. But now, half a month has not come. The fog has already appeared. It's because of my butterfly effect, but I didn't do anything with great influence, did I? Chu Xiu was somewhat incomprehensible. What I did. The only thing that can be regarded as a big change in the future is to disintegrate a million scale corpse tide point. But that won't make a global disaster come more than a month early, will it? Chu Xiu, do you know what this is? Beizaro noticed the shock in Chu Xiu's eyes and asked. But as she spoke, a large amount of white mist suddenly poured into the ventilation duct of the laboratory. White mist got in from every crevice that could be drilled. It soon filled the entire laboratory. Beizaro couldn't understand how these white mists bypassed the air filtration system and entered the laboratory. I don't have time to explain, just follow me. The attack of the white fog also made Chu Xiu recover from the shock. No time to think about it. Chu Xiu directly took Beizaro's slender hand. Go outside the lab. I still have the equipment. Beizaro wanted to turn back, but was dragged out by Chu Xiu. The fog in the room is not very thick. You can also see walls and walkways once outside. There is only a white sea of fog left between heaven and earth. As far as you can see, it's all white fog. Not to mention the east, west and northwest. You can't even tell the difference between the top and the bottom. Visibility is less than a meter. Beizaro is holding hands by Chu Xiu. I had to use my other hand to take out a small instrument from my pocket and check the air quality. This seems to be just ordinary fog, which is not harmful to the human body. Beizaro said. The test results were all normal. It's just that the humidity in the air is relatively high. But this is also in line with the performance of foggy weather under normal conditions. The fog is not harmful to the human body, but the things in the fog are harmful, Chu Xiu said in a solemn tone. And the fog itself is also eerie. The dense fog not only affects people's sight, but also has a strong suppression on spiritual power. Chu Xiu's magnetic field induction can obviously spread out. But it can't sense anything 5 meters away. The magnetic field energy that spreads out is like entering a void space and cannot sense the existence of anything at all. Fortunately, there is imperial soil. Chu Xiu tried it. It was found that the only one that could detect a little further away was Utah's earth sensing, and even the sense of the earth. The detection range was also suppressed to less than 100 meters. This distance does not allow Chu Xiu to perceive the existence of other people. Point and go. Chu Xiu actually has a feeling that he is about to get lost. Yai. Chu Xiu knew that if he continued walking, he would only lose his way in the thick fog. Point just shouted loudly, Chu Xiu, I'm here, Chu Xiu, brother, Chu Xiu. 9 soon. The women's responses came from the thick fog. Point, but the sound is very vague. Point can't tell which direction it came from. Look at the floor tiles. At this moment, Beizao suddenly reminded. Chu Xiu glanced down, but let alone the floor tiles, you can't even see your own feet. Point visibility is less than 1 meter, but Chu Xiu's height is about 1.9 meters. Aren't you going to squat down? There was a hint of helplessness in Beizao's words. Point talking. He also dragged Chu Xiu down. Chu Xiu squatted down quickly. Point, but only saw a piece of almost identical floor tiles as a luxury residential area with millions of dollars. The architectural details here are extremely demanding. Want to pass the subtle district police of floor tiles? The direction of differentiation is almost impossible. Go this way. Chu Xiu was still looking at the floor tiles, but Beizao suddenly pointed in one direction and said, how did you tell the difference? Chu Xiu was stunned. I remember this brick. There are a few drops of blood here that haven't been wiped off. Beizao pointed to a floor tile and said. Chu Xiu glanced at it, and sure enough, in the crack of the floor tile, he found a little dark red. Point, it should be dried blood. The location of this brick is at the door of Villa 14, so we are going in this direction. After Beizao finished speaking, he walked in one direction with Chu Xiu. Point, originally, Chu Xiu dragged her away. Now it's her dragging Chu Xiu away. Point and Beizao held Chu Xiu's hand very tightly, as if afraid of leaving. Point, every few steps Beizao will squat down and check the floor tiles again. Could it be that you remember every tile? Chu Xiu couldn't help asking. It's almost like they're on my mind. As long as I want to call, I can recall. Exactly. Beizao wrote lightly. Point, her ability is equivalent to an enhanced version of unforgettable. Point, finally. Point, under the leadership of Beizao, the two gradually approached Villa number 8. Point, but before entering, Chu Xiu's earth sense sensed that there was a vibration and approached. It stands to reason, in the shock of the community, apart from Chu Xiu and Beizao, Li Qiuyu and the others were the only ones left. But Chu Xiu did not let down his guard because of this. Instead, prepare for battle. Anyone here? Beizao noticed Chu Xiu's actions and stopped. Chu Xiu did not speak, but stared at the thick white fog. Point, dong. Point, the vibrations sensed are getting stronger and stronger the closer the distance is. Roar. Just as Chu Xiu stared intently. Point, a deformed creature rushed out of the thick fog. I don't know how many arms there are. I don't know if Deo 563 has 3 legs or 4 legs. It looks like a bunch of mincemeat spliced together, also full of tentacles and fangs. This appearance, a normal person looks at it, it is estimated that the sanity value will go crazy. Roar. The monster roared and rushed over, but Chu Xiu had already prepared for the battle. Point, raising your hand is a flash of lightning. Boom. Dazzling lightning flashes through the thick fog. The electric current rubbing against the mist in the air, it made a sound like thunder. With the roar and thunder, the monster was directly blasted by lightning and turned into a pile of minced meat. You killed the F-rank fog monster. Rotten body. EXP plus 50. Mist monster? Chu Xiu only knew that there were monsters in the thick fog, but he didn't know the names of the monsters. Because there are all kinds of strange monsters in the thick fog. Last life, no one can define the monster in the thick fog. This thing is not a zombie, nor is it a beast. Beizao crouched down and checked the remains of the monster. Point, look at her. It seems that I want to take this thing back to study it. Find someone else first. Once lost in the thick fog, they are dead. Chu Xiu said quickly. No one knew exactly how many monsters were in the thick fog. What I encountered just now maybe 1% or 1 in 10 million. The biggest fear is the unknown. The only thing for sure that is, once lost in the thick fog, no matter how strong you are, you will surely die. Chapter 138. They went out to find you. After solving the fog monster that suddenly appeared, Chu Xiu and Beizao finally fumbled into villa number 8 in the thick fog. However, there was still fog in the villa. It's just that the fog is slightly lighter than the outdoors. Visibility reached 2 meters. Autumn. Moon. Yai. Entering the villa, Chu Xiu shouted loudly. After a while, brother. Chu Xiu. Teofu's voice came from upstairs, with a bit of crying in her voice. Listen to the sound. Little Teofu seemed terrified. Teofu, stand still and don't move. I'll come right over. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he took Beizao's hand and quickly went upstairs. Walk through the foggy corridor. Finally, in the corner of the guest bedroom on the 2nd floor, I saw little Teofu who was squatting with her head up. She is blind. Have no idea what's going on. I only know that my earth sense suddenly seems to have failed. Can't hear any movement in the distance. Brother. Chu Xiu. Hearing the familiar vibration belonging to Chu Xiu, he came over. Taofu rushed over quickly, bury the little head into Chu Xiu's arms. It's alright, Toffee, you're the only one here? What about the others? Chu Xiu asked. Do not know. Sister Qiu, let me stay here, and don't run around. Teofu shook her head. Since the earth sense was restricted, she couldn't hear other people's vibrations. Go. Find Annie first. This girl is so timid, she should not dare to go out. Go to her room to see. 5. Chu Xiu thought for a while, holding Beizao with one hand and Teofu with the other back downstairs again. Groping. Find the nanny room on the 1st floor, which is now Annie's bedroom. As soon as the door opens, sure enough, they found Annie hiding under the quilt. Is there a fart to hide under the quilt? Chu Xiu rolled his eyes, stepped forward and lifted little Annie's sheet. Don't eat me. I have no meat on me. Annie shuddered with fright and shouted quickly, it's me. Only then did Chu Xiu notice that there were 2 tear marks on little Annie's cheeks. It seemed that he had been frightened just now. Annie, did you just see something? Chu Xiu asked quickly. Ugh. Annie, who came to her senses, threw herself into Chu Xiu's arms just like Teofu just now. There are monsters, a lot of eyes, a lot of tentacles. It was just looking at me from the window, Annie said in a trembling voice. Window? Chu Xiu patted Annie on the shoulder and turned to look at the window of the room. Really, there was something strange like slime on the glass of the window. And there are some traces of tentacles crawling over. It's okay. The monster didn't come in. What about the rest? Chu Xiu's voice just fell. Boom. Suddenly there was a gunshot outside. And in the villa, there is only one person who needs to use thermal weapons. Chen Miayu. Chu Xiu took Anna's hand again, let Beizao and Teofu hold hands, and walked out of the Nana's room. Follow the gunfire to the backyard of the villa. At the door I found Chen Miayu, who was holding the back door of the villa with her feet, panting heavily. She has a shotgun in her hand. There's still smoke from the gun beside her. There lay a giant flying insect with a scorpion tail. Leader, you finally came. Seeing Chu Xiu, Chen Miayu breathed a sigh of relief. The back door was not closed just now, and this monster wanted to fly in. Chen Miayu briefly explained the cause and effect. Although the only ordinary person in the villa, but Chen Miayu is not cowardly. After all, she is also an extremely rare female billionaire before the end. Women who can do this. Nature is not some delicate white flower in a greenhouse. You did a good job. Chu Xiu nodded and then asked, where are Yin Yi and Li Qiu? The villa has been searched before, and after the 2 girls were not seen. Huh? You haven't met? Did they find you? Hearing Chu Xiu's question, Chen Miayu was taken aback. Then Yin Yi was showing off the nano suit to them, and before showing off for a long time, a strange fog came. Out of concern, Chu Xiu, Yin Yi and Li Qiu decided to go to villa number 9 together. There. Out. Chu Xiu was taken aback. But the starting point of the 2 girls is for themselves after all. Chu Xiu was helpless, glanced at the white mist outside the window, and finally gritted his teeth. You guys are staying in the villa. I'm going to find them. Finished. Chu Xiu was about to leave. Annie and Duff grabbed the edge of his shirt. Brother, I'll go with you. Me too. Jen is still out there. Both girls said they wanted to go out together. No, you stay here. You can't go anywhere. Chu Xiu's tone was extremely severe. Annie and Tao Fu both took a step back in fright. Oh. The two girls dared not speak. Just stay obediently. I'll come with you. Without me, you can't even find the villa anywhere. At this time, Beizao said quietly. Chu Xiu knew that Beizao was telling the truth. Reluctantly had to agree. The two left the villa and stepped into the mist full of unknowns again. Halala just a few steps out of the villa. A group of giant flying insects with strange shapes attacked Chu Xiu and Beizao. These flying insects, it's like mixing scorpions, centipedes, and wasps together at the same time. It has the tail needle of a scorpion, the compound feet of a centipede, the torso and wings of a wasp. Weird shape, and it also has a head that resembles a human face skeleton. In addition to looking weird, the size of these flying insects is also very large, each more than half a meter. Like a puppy, a group of flying insects flew over at the same time. A piece of Wuyangyang. Stand behind me. Chu Xiu dragged Beizao behind him, and then the electric light gathered in his palm. A dazzling beam of thunder continue to bombard the incoming swarm of flying insects. The current spreads into a grid in the air with high humidity, sweeping away the swarms of flying insects. Clap 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 clap. 17. The swarm of flying insects wrapped in electric current made a crackling sound. Then, one by one they fell at Chu Xiu's feet. You killed the F-class fog monster. Corruption. Experience value +10. You killed the F-rank fog monster. Rotten corpse. EXP +10. You kill. The prompts are loud and clear, but Chu Xiu noticed a key message. That is, this flying insect and the deformed monster just killed are actually called mist monster, rotten skeleton. It's just the amount of experience that's different. Is there no difference in the nature of these things? Chu Xiu frowned. After solving the swarm of flying insects, the two continued to move forward. While walking, he called Yunyai and Li Qiuai, whose names. Thump still haven't taken a few steps. Chu Xiu sensed a heavy vibrating tomb through the earth sense of U2. There's a big guy around. Chu Xiu finished. Be wary of looking in the direction of the vibration. Chapter 139. Yunyai turns on the violent mode. Dong dong dong, with the vibration sensed by the ground getting closer and closer. Chu Xiu's palm has gathered a thunderlight. Spill dark, jumping between the fingers, exudes a terrifying aura of destruction. Soon. A huge figure appeared in the thick fog. Roar. Chu Xiu was ready to attack. An angry tiger or stopped him. Jenny? Chu Xiu tried to shout. Hearing Chu Xiu's voice, a low roar came from the thick fog, and the figure quickly approached. Sure enough, it was an tamed striped winged tiger. Jenny. It's just that Jenny at this time, the state is not very good. It seemed that he had just fought with something, and his body, that had just recovered, was covered in bruises. Huge tiger body with a body length of 6 meters, scars all over. Roar. Seeing Chu Xiu, Jenny limped over. Chu Xiu noted that Jenny's right back leg has 2 rows of weird bite marks. It was as if something had bitten her hard. Almost bit into a piece of meat. Ah. You alright, Jenny? For the first time, Chu Xiu did not ridicule Jenny, but patted her sturdy tiger body. Roar. 563. Jenny let out a low growl. Seems to be expressing something. But Chu Xiu didn't copy Anna's animal affinity, so he couldn't understand what Jenny meant. Jenny, have you seen Li Qiuai and the others? As soon as Chu Xiu said the words, he regretted it. It's not a language barrier anymore. Species are different, isn't it white to ask? Roar. But what Chu Xiu didn't expect was that Jenny shook the tiger's head. She roared in the direction she had just appeared in. Jenny, can you understand what I'm saying? Chu Xiu was a little surprised, but he didn't think much about it, and hurriedly walked in the direction that Jenny pointed. Beizao is held by Chu Xiu. While walking, every now and then I took out a small thing from my pocket and threw it on the ground. Make a mark. Chu Xiu noticed this. Dense fog interferes with electronic equipment, and this is the only way to go. Beizao said truthfully. She's already tried products like trackers. But in dense fog, these electronic products all have different degrees of failure. More importantly, the dense fog blocks out the electromagnetic signal. As long as you are far away, you will not be able to receive the tracker's signal. If you go too far, I can find my way back through the things I've left behind. Due to walking in the thick fog for a long time, a thin layer of hoarfrost hung on Beizao's face. Letter already beautiful. It became like the early morning. A fine china dipped in dew. Frost hung on her long eyelashes. A faint mist lingered on her face. All of these pointed makes Beizao look extraordinarily ethereal. Let's go. Chu Xiu silently kept this beautiful scene in his heart. Then picked up the pace. The fog is a perilous hell, not a paradise for enjoying the beauty. And Yunyi and the others are still alive and dead. Raw. Jenny closely followed Chu Xiu. But not long after walking, this B+ grade beast lost his sense of direction. Raw. Jenny looked around in the thick fog. She couldn't tell which direction she came from just now. Boom. At this moment, the earth trembled violently. Great tremor. Chu Xiu felt his body vacated a little bit. What the hell is this? Chu Xiu's complexion changed slightly, and the earth's sense of the earth seemed to be malfunctioning. It's not shock anymore, but violent shaking. As if something the size of a mountain was approaching. The weight is unimaginable. What? At the same time that the vibrations appeared, a dark figure smashed in the direction of Chu Xiu. Yee. Chu Xiu recognized the owner of the voice. Hastily created a repulsive magnetic field nearby. Although the dense fog has a great barrier to the release of magnetic field energy. But it's okay to catch someone. What? Yee, who was wearing a nanosuit, seemed to be thrown over by something. It slammed into the repulsive magnetic field heavily. Fortunately, Chu Xiu set the repulsive magnetic field to a buffer mode from weak to strong. Yunyi, who fell down. Crash into layers of repulsive magnetic fields, and the impact force is quickly reduced by the magnetic field until it disappears. It finally landed on the ground. Chu Xiu, finally found you. I thought something was wrong with you. Seeing Chu Xiu, Yunyi opened the visor of the nanosuit, her face as flowery as jade, full of anxiety. The eyes were watery and almost watery. I thought something was wrong with you. Chu Xiu was just about to get angry. But when I thought that they were all in contact with the mist for the first time, they didn't know the danger of the mist. Besides, they came out to find themselves. Heart to heart. When it reaches his mouth, he swallows it back. Wait. At this time, Chu Xiu suddenly noticed. The nanosuit on Yunyi's body is flashing red more intensely than ever, and Yunyi's eyes also, because of the high degree of congestion, and covered with bloodshot. You turned on berserk mode. Not only Chu Xiu, but Beizao also discovered this. Hurry up and help. Qiu can't stand it anymore. When asked by Chu Xiu, Yunyi seemed to remember something important. Knee and jump. The concrete floor beneath his feet shattered in an instant. And Yunyi, like a shell out of the chamber, followed the same path and rushed into the mist. They are in danger. Chu Xiu realized this. Before there was time to walk slowly, he turned around and picked up Beizao and directly chased after him. Raw. Jenny saw this, not to mention the injury. He limped after him. Boom. Boom. As the distance approached, Chu Xiu's sense of the earth kept appearing a violent vibration. Although not as terrible as the vibration just now. But you can also hear this is definitely a behemoth. Boom. With the vibrations, there were also flashes of lightning that pierced the air, and a loud thunder exploded. Qiu, here I come. With the blessing of berserk mode, Yunyi can jump to a height of 7 or 8 floors, and the speed, strength, defense and other values have reached the extreme. Boom. Boom. Soon, a drum-like sound of fist fighting came from the fog. You stay here with Jenny to protect you. I'm going to help. Chu Xiu put down Beizao. It turned into a black shadow and rushed forward. Why not flicker? It's because you can't see the surrounding environment in the fog. flickering randomly, and if you don't get it right, you will get stuck in the wall point. And, with the blessing of elementary speed LV2, Chu Xiu's speed was already so fast that it was difficult for ordinary people to see clearly. Although not as flickering, but not too slow. It didn't take long to advance at this speed. Chu Xiu saw Qiu and Yin Yi, and what they were fighting. A 5-story tall, indescribable, deformed monster. Chapter 140. Big eyes. Behold, the size of the monster is extremely large. Under the cover of thick fog, Chu Xiu, who had just arrived, could not see all the monsters at all. I can only peek inside the leopard. From the vast white fog, I saw several huge tentacles, similar to the tentacles of an octopus, but no suction cups on it, but full of human eyes, densely packed. If people with intensive phobia see this scene, it is estimated that they will instantly get goosebumps. Is this also a fog monster? Chu Xiu marveled at the size of the monster, how big it was, but amazement is amazement. Start without hesitation, raise your hand, and a pillar of thunder with the thickness of a bucket blasted past. Boom. Accompanied by the sound of thunder, the thunder pillar hit one of the monster's tentacles on its huge tentacles. A blood hole exploded, mincemeat flying. Some of the eyeballs on the tentacles were detonated by lightning. Like explosive beads, one by one. The picture is scary and disgusting, but it did not cause fatal damage to the monster. Chu Xiu. The appearance of lightning made Li Qiu notice the arrival of Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu, be careful, this thing is very powerful. Li Qiu's voice just fell. A tentacle was drawn towards her. This tentacle alone might weigh several tons. The widest position of the tentacle is about the width of a car. Just when the tentacle was about to hit Li Qiu, Yin Yi, who was wearing a nanosuit, bumped directly into the tentacle's boom. Accompanied by a drum-like roar, the tentacles weighing several tons were knocked away by Yin Yi. Qiu, don't you worry, I'm here. Yin Yi roared and charged towards the monster again. In fact, the biggest help of the nanosuit to her is not the increase in strength and speed. It's defense. The previous Yin Yi was only strong and did not have the matching defensive power. As a result, when she fights, she has to take into account dodge and defense. Fear of hands and feet. Can't use his full strength at all. Now with the nanosuit, there is nothing to worry about. Not only do you not have to worry about getting hurt, but you also don't have to worry about getting yourself dirty with the blood of monsters. Come on, ugly. Yin Yi picked up the double mace that had fallen from the ground and charged towards the monster again. At the same time, Chu Xiu released 2 more lightning bolts, but the effect is still general. Even if the lightning energy is condensed to form a lightning spear, it just blew off one of the monster's tentacles. Dense fog is too serious a barrier to mental power. 5. Chu Xiu found out why it's not that lightning strikes don't work. But this thick white fog not only weakened the magnetic field, but also reduced the lightning energy. More specifically, it blocks the release of spiritual power. Every time Chu Xiu attacks with lightning, the sound of thunder, in fact, it is the sound produced by the friction between the electric current and the mist. During this process, the power of the lightning attack will be rapidly reduced. Looks like melee combat. After realizing that the energy attack was ineffective, Chu Xiu looked around. Although the thick fog covers everything, but only to cover, it doesn't make things around you disappear soon. Chu Xiu found several abandoned cars. Mind a move. Several cars fell apart in an instant. Among them, the high strength steel is automatically separated in a very short period of time, integrated together to form a huge 2-handed battle axe. The light axe blade is 2 meters long, with the handle, the length exceeds 4 meters, the number is directly approaching 2 tons. Yi, do you want an axe? Chu Xiu first asked Yin Yi. Well, I'll have enough of a double-edged sword. After being rejected, Chu Xiu picked up the axe himself. The terrifying power, that is far more than 20 times that of ordinary people, allow him to easily control this 2-ton battle axe. In fact, the fog disturbance is fair. Not only Chu Xiu, but almost all control type awakeners who rely on their spiritual power to fight. It will be greatly restricted in the face of dense fog. Past life, countless awakeners who thought they were powerful died in the thick fog. But Fortunately, I'm also invincible in melee combat. Chu Xiu easily picked up the giant axe point at this time. The importance of polygons is reflected. Chu Xiu is not simply a manipulative awakener who relies on psychic attacks point on close combat. He is not weaker than Yin Yi and Steel Man at all, and he can even hang them both by himself. Yi. Dodge. 9 and with the super speed ability, Chu Xiu's speed is also exaggerated. Almost instantly rush to the front of the monster. The giant axe swings out a full moon point get off with an axe. Directly cut off the 2 tentacles raised by the monster point. Thump thump, the severed tentacles fell to the ground point. The eyeballs above were crushed by the weight of the tentacles when they fell. Go back and leave it to me. After driving Yin Yi away, Chu Xiu talked about the giant axe, and at the same time, released a magnetic field, and jumped up point. The figure passed through the thick fog point at about 10 meters from the ground point. Finally, Chu Xiu could clearly see the upper body of the monster. If I saw it before, it was a bunch of tentacles with eyes. What you see now point, it is a round, gigantic eyeball. That's right. 4 flowers. This monster's body is a huge eyeball. The diameter of the eyeball is about 3 or 4 meters wide. Behold meaning beholder. Class B fog monster. Behold will only appear in the thick fog. It will hunt down and devour all living things in the fog. The thick fog disappears, and behold also disappears. Behold, isn't it rotten after all? When Chu Xiu saw the monster, the system also presented the monster's information. But Chu Xiu hasn't read it yet. Point. This huge eyeball monster locked his gaze on Chu Xiu. Point. Then, buzz one by one, with a strange sound, a strange beam of light burst out from this huge eyeball. Chu Xiu saw this. The figure disappears instantly because of the dense fog. Chu Xiu didn't dare to teleport too far, so as not to get stuck in the building, so just flashed 2 meters to the left, dodged the beam. Boom. The beam disappeared into the thick fog. Point. Then, there was the sound of the building's wall being hit and collapsing. Do you still attack from a distance? After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he flashed again. Point. Going directly to the back of the eyeball monster. The giant axe in his hand broke the air. The beholder seemed to sense danger. All tentacles up, trying to block the axe. Point. Swish. With the sound of breaking the air, the giant axe in Chu Xiu's hand swung a full moon point in an instant. The thick fog seems to have been split for a moment. None of the tentacles that stood in front of the battle axe played a blocking role for a moment. All cut off. Dang dang dang. The broken tentacles fell heavily to the ground. Each one made a loud noise. Chu Xiu, are you alright? Yin Yi, a shout came from below. I'm fine. It's it. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, the giant axe in his hand swung again. Point. And the beholder has no tentacles. Point. Another beam. Chu Xiu is still a close range flicker, easily dodging. Point. Next second, it appeared directly to the left of the big eyeball. Point. The axe falls. You kill. Chu Xiu. Didn't he have time to listen to the beep? Yee. Run. The moment the axe fell, Chu Xiu quickly flashed to a position several meters away. At the same time, a reminder was issued to Yin Yi below. What? Yin Yi, who was under the thick fog, hadn't reacted yet. Point. Boom. There was an explosion from overhead. The huge eyeballs with a diameter of 3 or 4 meters exploded directly, and countless liquids were poured down the mountain. Chapter 141. The fog dissipates. The giant beast that covers the sky. With Chu Xiu an axe fell. Point. The huge eyeball burst directly, and a large amount of mucus was thrown down. Point. Yin Yi, who was too late to dodge. Point. He was directly poured over his head and covered his face. Didn't I let you out of the way? Chu Xiu, who fled away early, flashed back again. Some schadenfreude said. Then, I have to respond. Yin Yi shrugged her shoulders. She was slapped face to face, but she was not annoyed or angry at all. Chu Xiu is wondering. Turn on cleanup mode. Yin Yi shouted proudly. Point. In an instant, a layer of ripples appeared on the surface of the nanosuit. Point. Nanomaterials originally similar to muscle fibers becomes incredibly smooth quickly. Point. Kind of like a lotus leaf. Point. In an instant, the filth on Yin Yi's body lost its adhesive force and all slipped off. Point. Whole person. Do not. It should be said that the entire nanosuit has a new look. 5. 6-3 Hey Yin Yi smiled proudly. Point. Now I have completely forgotten that I disliked the ugly nano clothes in the first place. Don't be complacent. Let's find a way to go back. Chu Xiu shook his head, looking back at the white fog. I can't tell the direction at all. I'm sorry, Chu Xiu. Yi and I were looking for you at this time. Li Qiu came over. Apparently she realized that she and Yi caused trouble to Chu Xiu. He bowed his head and apologized. Forget it. Next time you encounter this situation, don't be so reckless. Chu Xiu waved his hand. And also, you don't always think about coming over to help me. I'm stronger than the two of you combined. So instead of worrying about me, it's better to protect yourselves. Chu Xiu was also a little helpless for these two women who only had himself in their hearts. Are you unhappy? Actually a little happy. After all, the two women with alluring looks regard you as the only one in their hearts. All actions revolve around you. Don't even think about it. If one day someone must die, these two girls will definitely stand in front without any hesitation. But the problem is I'm a man. What do you two women do? Chu Xiu said helplessly. Sorry, me. I won't do it next time. 9 me. 2. Facing Chu Xiu's accusation, both Li Qiu and Yi bowed their heads. The mouth said that the next time would not dare. But Chu Xiu clearly heard. I'm sorry, I'll do this next time. A feeling of never mind. Find Beizaro. Let's go back. Chu Xiu was helpless and temporarily let go of the two daughters. Turn around and look around. Because he had forgotten his original direction, Chu Xiu had to use the most primitive method to find Beizaro. Shout out, Beizaro. Just shouted this way. Beizaro's dull voice came from one direction. Chu Xiu quickly grabbed the second daughter's hand and walked over. Fine. Beizaro did not encounter any danger with Jenny's protection. Ordinary fog monsters can't get close to Beizaro. There was a lot of movement just now. Did you get into a fight with something? Beizaro looked at the group of Chu Xiu who came over and asked, hey, I forgot to leave you a specimen. 9. Seeing Beizaro, Chu Xiu just remembered. He killed the beholder himself, but did not keep samples for Beizaro. Fine. I just dissected a few, and the district police for these things are not big. Beizaro pointed to the ground not far away. There were actually two dissected fog monster corpses lying there, a flying insect, and a deformed monster. Apparently it was Jenny who killed it. Then Beizaro dissected them on the spot. You are awesome. Chu Xiu gave Beizaro a thumbs up. Under such circumstances, there is still the mind to dissect the corpse and conduct research. Beizaro was also heartbroken. But also, after all, she had absolutely no idea what fear was. Are you going back? Follow me. Beizaro said. Go in one direction according to the mark you left earlier. Chu Xiu quickly followed. The crowd walked through the white fog. Not long after walking, suddenly, Chu Xiu seemed to notice something. Transient expression. Beizaro, stop. Chu Xiu shouted. Then he grabbed Beizaro, and with a few girls, he frantically stepped back. What's wrong? Yi just asked a question. Boom. A loud bang came from the front. The earth trembled violently. The bodies of Chu Xiu and the others were almost thrown into the air. Scary sound and the tremor of the earth let everyone's eardrums tingle slightly. Rumbling. After everything calms down, a giant pillar to the sky appeared in front of several people under the cover of thick fog. Let alone how high the pillars are. You can't even see the width of the pillars. Preliminary estimates, it takes at least 7 or 8 people to hug each other to barely surround the pillar. What is this pillar? Yi looked at this giant pillar. Her hair stood up. Where they were just now, it has been crushed to the ground by this giant pillar. If they didn't leave in time just now, they would end up being crushed into minced meat in an instant. Not a pillar. Beizaro stared at the giant pillar in front of him. It's a creature's legs. And also, didn't you see? The fog has faded. Beizaro looked up at the sky. Said slowly, it's faded. Li Qiu also found out. The original white fog. See, Visibility is less than 1 meter. Even the sky and the earth cannot be distinguished. Can't see any sunlight. But now above the head, you can already see the sun shining into the thick fog, showing a little halo. Although the halo is very weak, if you don't look closely, you can't see it at all. But it is also enough to prove that the fog is dissipating. Visibility has exceeded 3 meters and is still increasing. Chu Xiu looked around. Originally, he couldn't even see the bricks on the ground, but now he can see a large area, and as the fog dissipated, visibility is still increasing. At this time, as the thick fog became lighter and lighter, Yin Yi seemed to have discovered something. Pointing to the sky, shouted in horror, "Quick, look up." Hearing Yin Yi's cry, Chu Xiu and the others all looked up. Just a glance, everyone's brain feels like a heavy hammer. But that's a gigantic behemoth. I didn't know it was hundreds of meters tall. As the thick fog fades a little bit, its body gradually emerges, covering the sky and the sun. 4.1 The giant pillar that appeared in front of Chu Xiu and others just now. Just one of its legs. And such legs, it has 6. The interval between each leg is hundreds of meters wide. You can see how huge it is under the gradually fading thick fog and the sunlight halo. You can clearly see that its body is covered with tentacles or something. Anyway, some huge limbs fluttering in the wind, as much as hair. Each root, even bigger than the beholder just wrapped. Everyone who saw this scene was speechless. Bang at this time, the stone pillar that reached the sky slowly lifted up. The giant beast didn't attack anyone. Just continued, slowly, walking in one direction. Slow but unstoppable. PS. The picture is a giant beast. Asterisk. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 142. Counting the personnel. The steel man is dead. The giant beast moved slowly. The giant feet that reach the sky, like giant pillars, slowly lift up. Move to a place nearly 100 meters away, and then crash down. The earth trembled. The building you stepped on was instantly razed to the ground. During the whole process, the behemoth did not launch an attack on any target on the ground. We can even say it didn't look down at the bottom. Just moved quietly. Destroyed all buildings along the way. I dazzled. How do I feel that the monster is blurred? With the fog getting lighter, Yin Yi suddenly found out. The figure of the giant beast that was gradually walking away gradually became blurred. As if it were dissipating with the thick fog, disappeared together. The fog monster will appear with the thick fog, and will disappear with the thick fog. Chu Xiu stared at the gradually blurred giant beast, and said solemnly. Just now, he has already scanned the information of this giant beast. Behemoth's class fog monster, a huge existence that covers the sun all day, with incomprehensible and terrible power. Unlike most fog monsters, Behemoth does not actively attack the ants under his feet. It will only move firmly in the direction it wants to go. Description. For some unknown reason, humans thousands of years ago learned of the existence of Behemoth, and recorded it in the book The Holy Scriptures. Note, killing the S-level fog monster will quickly dissipate the dense fog in the area, S-class. Now, Chu Xiu finally understands why did so many powerful awakeners in the previous life die in the fog in the end. In the fog. God knows how many terrifying existences are there. Fine. This guy looks down on us, Chu Xiu said helplessly. In Behemoth's eyes, he and Beizao and others are probably like ants in the eyes of humans, negligible. Not even paying attention at all. The fog has cleared, Beizao said. Just when the giant beast became blurred a little, until it disappeared completely. The dense fog has completely dissipated. There is still a little bit of residual warmth of the setting sun, shining down from the sky, and shining on a messy land. It took only a few dozen minutes from the appearance of the dense fog to the end. But the damage was devastating. As far as I can see. There are devastated buildings destroyed by unknown monsters everywhere. If you look out into the city center, you will find that the city has suffered devastating damage. Some dozens of high-rise buildings collapsed from the middle. The streets are littered with indescribable and strange footprints, especially where Behemoth went. The building was directly razed to the ground, and every step it took left a huge pit on the ground. Everything in the pit was crushed into a sheet of paper in the thick fog. Even zombies and beasts were attacked by unknown monsters. and their death is extremely tragic. Some were also wrapped in thick cobwebs, wrapped in cocoons, and hung from street lamps and buildings. Oh my god. Yin Yi covered her mouth in shock at the scene after the thick fog had receded. A thick fog. The city has almost become a wasteland style. Used to it. Chu Xiu patted Yin Yi's head and identified the direction. Go to Yijiang Garden. Habit. What do you mean? This fog will appear again? Yin Yi was shocked. Chu Xiu nodded. In the future, dense fog will randomly appear all over the world, but the scale will not be as large as it is today. In fact, when it comes to this, Chu Xiu himself is a little unsure. Because this fog came too early, a full month earlier than the previous life, it made Chu Xiu not sure whether many of the next things would change because of this. Then, do we have a good way to deal with the fog? Yin Yi then asked. Simple. Stay in a safe bunker, and with a little more life, you can survive. Chu Xiu glanced back at her and wrote lightly. In fact, life is the most important thing. No matter how sturdy the bunker, unless it was a nuclear bunker, it would be blind to encounter an existence like Behemoth. Actually, this time is not bad. The first time I experienced the fog, no one died. Chu Xiu's eyes swept over his children. To be honest, Chu Xiu is still satisfied with being able to do this. Let's go. Done. Chu Xiu released a repulsive magnetic field. Take the lead in flying towards the direction of Yijiang Garden. Without the obstruction of the dense fog, the spiritual power can finally be released without hindrance. Compared to the outside world, the damage to the Yijiang Garden was minimal. Only the outer walls of a few villas suffered some damage to varying degrees. Besides, there is almost nothing to lose. When Chu Xiu returned to the villa, Annie, Taofu, and Shin Miao stayed together unscathed. Then, Beizao, Li Qiuyu, and Yin Yi also rushed back. Everyone is here, that's all. Chu Xiu counted the number of people. After confirming that there was no loss of personnel, I felt a little better. Now, it's time to see what's going on elsewhere. Chu Xiu finished. With a wave of his hand, he sucked up the radio on the table and dialed the direction of the arsenal first. 10 seconds passed. Communication was delayed. How is the situation on your side? Are there any casualties? Chu Xiu asked. Sorry, Chief. It was a bit slow to pick up. Zhang Haoping's voice came from the radio. He apologized for the slow communication connection, and then said, we've just been counting people. The dense fog just now caused a total of 4 deaths, 9 missing and 11 injured, but it's all minor injuries. In addition, 2 mechanical spiders were scrapped. Currently available parts have been removed and ready to be rebuilt. 5 Zhang Haoping's 1510 report. Chu Xiu was a little surprised after hearing this. He originally thought that Zhang Haoping's losses would be at least 50 or 60 people, but he did not expect that there were only 10 people. It appears that the location of the arsenal played a role. After all, where the arsenal is located, just a standard nuclear bunker. Okay, I see. You can handle it yourself. If you need any medicine, you will contact me later. Chu Xiu finished. The communication of the arsenal was cut off, and then the Hushan 563 base was connected. Is it the leader of Chu? As soon as the communication was connected, Professor Hay's aged voice came out. Professor Hay, how is the situation on your side? Chu Xiu asked, looking back at the boss. It's not very good. Professor Hay's voice was a little choked, and then he reported, I just checked the statistics. A total of 16 people were killed, 7 people were missing, and 11 people were injured. In addition, Marquis Zhao Wen was also seriously injured. In order to protect a little girl, I don't know if I can make it through tonight. Professor Hay choked his voice to report. Compared with the almost fully enclosed arsenal, Hushan base is a semi-open prison after all, with an open air in the middle more vulnerable to attack. Skinny Monkey will save people. Chu Xiu was a little surprised. Zhao Wenhao in Professor Hay's mouth is actually the original name of Thin Monkey. Okay, I see. You take care of that. What medicines are needed, and I'll ask Leo Zhangtao to deliver them to you later. As for the Thin Monkey, let people with medical knowledge save as much as possible. Chu Xiu finished. Communication was cut off. At present, the biggest loss is the Hushan base. But this result, to be honest, Chu Xiu is still acceptable. This is not Chu Xiu cold-blooded point, but that's the nature of doomsday. Death is commonplace. That's it, isn't it? After cutting off the communication, Chu Xiu thought again. It seems that these other people point, but I don't know why. But I always feel like I have forgotten someone. Crack. Forget the Steelers. Suddenly, Chu Xiu remembered. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. The Steel Man is a silicon-based life form. Does death exist? Before the fog appeared. The Steel Man is not in the community, but cleans up zombies on the outskirts of the city. If in the community, if anyone is most likely to get lost in the fog, it is definitely the Man of Steel. Chu Xiu closed his eyes. Magnetic field induction probed to the maximum range. The investigation has been carried out to a radius of 2 kilometers in the community, but the figure of the Steel Man has not been detected. It's not going to happen, is it? Chu Xiu looked solemn and quickly opened the system panel. Turn down. Find the subordinate column. Yin Yi 100, Li Qiu 100, Zhang Heoping, Annie 82, Teofu 96, gone. Chu Xiu looked again carefully. It was found that the figure of the Steel Man was indeed missing. Won't you die? Chu Xiu's face was solemn. Once the subordinates are bound, they cannot disappear unless they die. Do any of you know which direction the Steelers went to clean up the zombies? Chu Xiu found several women and asked, I don't know what happened. Several women were confused. The Steelers usually go alone, either guarding the gate or cleaning up zombies outside. No one knew where it was going. The Steelers may be dead, Chu Xiu said solemnly. What? The children were all surprised. No matter what, the Steel Man is a powerful awakener, and he has such a strong defense. How can it be said to be dead? I don't know exactly what happened. However, whether it is dead or alive, you must first find a way to find it. Chu Xiu said solemnly. Perhaps I can find it. Beizao thought of something. Done. Take Chu Xiu back to her lab. In the sample room, where the specimens were stored, Beizao took out a tube of a substance similar to mercury. This is the blood sample from the Steelers you asked me for when we first met. Chu Xiu recognized what was inside the glass tube. 9. Beizao nodded and inserted the glass tube into a machine. Then the machine starts up. An electromagnetic wave invisible to the naked eye spread out. As the master of the magnetic field, Chu Xiu can clearly perceive this energy, but he does not know what it is for. All I know is that this electromagnetic wave has been spreading to a far, far away location until it exceeds the sensing range of Chu Xiu. The blood of the Steel Man is special. 5. Its structure is completely out of the shadow of carbon-based organisms. It became a real liquid metal. That said, the Steelers are no longer carbon-based beings like you and me. It's a walking machine. A silicon-based life form, Beizao said while operating the machine. I thought about dissecting it and looking at its chip structure. Hearing this sentence, Chu Xiu retracted his attention from the electromagnetic wave. The chip you're talking about is a Steel Man's brain, right? Chu Xiu's expression was weird. It doesn't really make a difference. If conditions permit, I can also replace the human brain with a chip. 5. Beizao said quietly. Chu Xiu finished listening. I just said silently in my heart, thank you, living hell. Found it. At this moment, the machine operated by Beizao made a sound. Then a set of data is transferred to the computer. In this area, Beizao opened this set of data and compared it with the satellite map. Finally, an area with a range of 10 kilometers was circled. It's only accurate up to here at the moment. Beizao said, thanks. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he was ready to leave. I will go with you. Beizao quickly packed up some things to carry. If The stealer dies. I can dissect it as soon as possible. Chu Xiu was speechless. Is that why you want to keep up? Despite this, Chu Xiu still agreed to bring Beizaro and just asked casually, how are you going to get there? Drive. It was more than 20 kilometers away from the steel man's disappearance point, and it took more than 10 minutes to drive, which was too slow. But what Chu Xiu didn't expect was, you hug me. Beizaro directly stretched out his slender arms and made a gesture of hugging. Chu Xiu glanced at Beizaro. After confirming that she is still the emotionless robot. Only then did the princess hug her. It's the fastest, most convenient way, Beizaro said with an expressionless face. I know, you don't have to explain. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he released a repulsive magnetic field and took Beizaro to the ground. Fly straight out of the basement exit. Fly towards the position of the steel man. If you can't take it anymore, just tell me. On the way, Chu Xiu said, while increasing the repulsive magnetic field to increase the speed. Your own body can withstand this high load magnetic field compression. It doesn't mean that Beizaro can also. Although she is also an awakened person, her physical strength is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Fine. Beizaro shook his head. It's just a closer post with Chu Xiu. The closer it is, the smaller the pressure of the two magnetic fields being squeezed against each other. Chu Xiu also knows this, so nothing was said. Soon the two arrived at the position where the stealers finally disappeared. An industrial park on the outskirts of a city. Only now, this park has become devastated. The buildings of countless factories were destroyed by terrifying forces, and even the solid concrete floor seemed to have been plowed through by something. The streets are full of deep ravines, some abandoned vehicles. It was even stepped on by something directly into a discus. The park seems to have experienced a war. There are broken images everywhere. That's through magnetic induction. Chu Xiu quickly found the steel man's body. To be precise, it is to find a part of the body of the steel man. It's the steel man's arm. Chu Xiu opened a collapsed factory building. In the collapsed rubble, an arm of the steel man was found. This sturdy metal arm seemed to be forcibly torn off by some brute force, and the fracture was rough. There's a lot of liquid metal here. Beizaro jumped down from Chu Xiu's arms. In the ruins, she found some silver liquid metal. It is the blood of the stealers. Li Wanghao, go this way. Following the dripping blood, the two continued to walk inside the park. You should be able to control these liquid metals, right? Better take them all if you can. It will be useful. Beizaro did not specify what she was going to do. But Chu Xiu saw that she brought so many things in large and small bags, and she also knew that she would not ask for no reason. So I waved my hand. Inside the collapsed buildings, drops of silver liquid metal flew up, surrounded by Chu Xiu. Let's go. The two moved on. The damage seen along the way is even worse, like a group of giant beasts. There is a big battle here. Found it. Finally, Chu Xiu's magnetic field sensed the steel man's location. Only that mutilated steel body has no signs of life. Grave. PS. Happy Labor Day, Iron Juices. Love you guys. Chapter 144. Bring back the dead and create a Terminator? Position along the magnetic field. Chu Xiu took Beizaro and found the steel man buried by the building. After removing the wreckage of the building above, the two finally saw the body of the steel man. Light from the corpse, you can feel how brutal the steel man's previous battle was. Its burly metal body torn apart. The arm Chu Xiu just picked up as its right arm. In addition to the right arm, the steel man's left arm and right leg were almost torn off, leaving only a little piece of iron attached. The steel man's chest was also trampled by something, denting inward. Especially the brain, twisted 180 degrees. I don't think you need an autopsy anymore. Chu Xiu sighed. What is this anatomy? Whatever organs are needed, just pick them up from the wreckage. It's still necessary. As Beizaro said that, he took out a small chainsaw from his backpack and sawed it against the steel man's skull. Zizzy sparks flew all over for a while. Seeing this, Chu Xiu, wave your hand. Directly using the magnetic field energy, a slit was opened in the skull of the steel man. Don't bother, just Tell me what you want to do. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he sat next to him to see what Beizao was going to do. Not enough. Remove all the skulls from this piece. Beizao drew a circle on the steel man's head. Row. Chu Xiu's voice just fell. The steel man's skull immediately flew up. The brains of steel 563 were exposed. The shape is exactly the same as the human brain, but it is silver. I don't know what material it is. Looks like metal. But it is soft. But also not as soft as liquid metal. Beizao dug out a small piece with a medical spoon and put it into the instrument to check. Really, it has completely turned into silicon-based life. The test results show that Colossus brain is constructed entirely of an unknown metal. So, what? Chu Xiu, who was sitting beside him, asked. So, the steelers are not dead. Zio's tone was flat, but his words were startling. A machine has no concept of death, just fix it and reboot. While speaking, Beizao placed a bunch of equipment around. Chu Xiu was a little confused. Beizao actually said that he could save the dead, that the system recognized, even if we revive it. Is it still the steel man? Chu Xiu asked a very critical question. Its data is well preserved. So, after resuscitation, it is still the original steel man. Beizao said lightly. Fine. What do you need me to do? Chu Xiu asked. You have to study. Zio took the blood, muscles, and brain samples of the steel man he had just collected. All of them were placed in front of Chu Xiu. You have to learn to proportion and build the body of a steel man. Beizao said quietly, as if it were an easy thing to do. Chu Xiu is also not sure if he can do it. After all, in his usual battles, he doesn't need to control the magnetic field to such a degree. Killing people with embroidery needles is cool, but smashing with bricks is obviously better and more direct. Let me try. Chu Xiu closed his eyes and tried to disassemble the steel man's blood structure for a moment. The surrounding liquid metal all floated up. Like life, constantly changing shape. Through magnetic field induction, Chu Xiu can distinguish subtle differences between different metals, but liquid metal, it was something he had never touched before. It doesn't seem that it is very difficult to be inseparable from its origin. After a while, Chu Xiu found a clue. The so-called liquid metal is nothing but a mixture of positive ionic fluid and free electron gas. For Chu Xiu, who has mastered both magnetic fields and lightning, not a very mysterious thing. This industrial park should have the materials you need. Zio said while reading the steel man's brain data with the instrument. The location where the steelers died. It happens to be an industrial park. There should be enough material around to repair the steel man's body. Chu Xiu nodded. Through magnetic induction, he can see all available materials around him. Mind moving, the material immediately flew out of the collapsed building. Electric furnace. Chu Xiu released the electric furnace with his left hand and controlled some metal into the furnace with his right hand. A new alloy appeared in Chu Xiu's palm. But it was quickly rejected. Be eliminated. Now that we can bring this machine back to life, then why don't we upgrade it? By the way, now Chu Xiu has caught up with Beizao's thinking. On the original metal structure is at looking. It is an alloy that can be fused with the body of the steel man, but is more powerful. Time passed quietly. The two who entered the working state ignored the time. It's getting dark. With a wave of his hand, Chu Xiu repaired the collapsed metal factory and moved it to the top of himself. And Beizao. Then used its own lightning energy. Turned the surrounding lights back on. Almost. Finally, Chu Xiu found all the alternative metals. These new alloys are far stronger and more ductile than the steel itself. It even has the ductility of liquid metal. Then, you can start repairing the machine. After Beizao finished speaking, he walked to the side with the computer in his arm. She was holding a small U-disc in her hand, which contained the key data of the steel man's brain. For backup. In order to avoid Chu Xiu's operation, destroy the storage function of the steel man's brain. It is good. Chu Xiu waved his hand. The steel man, which was in pieces, was completely dismantled directly. Metal muscles and blood vessels, all stripped. Only a broken metal skeleton remains. Then, the skeleton was also removed by Chu Xiu. Only a silver brain was left hanging in the air. Subsequently, Chu Xiu rebuilt the steel man's skeleton with a harder metal point and control the drop of silver metal liquid point agglomerated, creep into a human-shaped outline, including blood vessels and muscles attached to the newly constructed skeleton point. Finally, a 3-meter high metal giant appeared impressively. Except for nonsense point, there are no flaws. Even the size has increased a lot than before. The hardware is installed. Now you install the system. Chu Xiu clapped his hands, went back to the side and sat down. It is good, Bay. Zio walked over, insert the U-disc on the top of the steel man's head, on the port reserved by Chu Xiu in advance. During the conversation between the two, steel man is like a machine that can be repaired and changed at will. Okay, the data is covered. After a while, Zio pulled out the USB flash drive. Looking back at Chu Xiu. Activate it. Chu Xiu nodded. Raising his hand, a flash of lightning struck the steel man's brain. Ugh. In an instant, the steel man roared and jumped up. Eyes wide open. Grim face. A pair of iron fists will subconsciously swing forward. Huh, boss. Seeing Chu Xiu, the steelers hurriedly put away their fists. But then, it froze. Hey, didn't I fight in the thick fog? Why are you here? What about the monster? When did the fog go away? PS. A liquid robot with a metal skeleton. Needless to say, everyone knows which work it is, right? Asterisk carrot carrot asterisk. Chapter 145 Liquid Metal Robot. Do you remember what happened before? It seems that the steel man seems to retain the original memory, but Chu Xiu still asked. Remember, boss, I was cleaning up the zombies, but I don't know why, and suddenly there was fog. I can't tell the direction, and I walked for a long time in the fog. Later, I met a red monster bigger than me, and I fought it. I fight it. The steel man was talking, and suddenly stopped. It seems to remember something. Frown. Boss, me, I don't seem to have beaten it. I was killed by it. Recalling his own death, steel man's face showed horror, and he lowered his head to examine himself. As a result, he found himself who should have broken his hands and feet. It's still intact, and my body doesn't seem to be the same as before. More powerful, boss. I am. The steelers looked at Chu Xiu in confusion. Chu Xiu did not speak. His eyes were focused on the steel man. His mind moved, and he scanned the steel man. Name, steel man. Gender, none. Loyalty, 96. Talent, metallization liquid, no level. For unknown reasons, the target talent has been changed, cannot be copied, and cannot be advanced. Loyalty 96. It seems to be the original steel man. Chu Xiu first glanced at the loyalty of the steelers, 96, and it increased, rather than decreased. Then, Chu Xiu noticed the steelman's talent change. No. Grade. Chu Xiu frowned. If I remember correctly, the former steelers improved themselves by eating metal. Meaning now is this way not working, but it doesn't seem to matter. Chu Xiu thought for a second. Losing the original upgrade path doesn't seem to be a bad thing for the steelers now. It is completely a modular robot. As long as Chu Xiu finds a stronger metal and replaces the material on the steel man, he can make it stronger. If there is enough material, Chu Xiu can even build a steel man into a steel giant dozens of meters high. Compared with the original growth method of eating metal. This modular enhancement method is undoubtedly more direct and more powerful. System. Expand the My Properties panel. After reading the attributes of the steel man, Chu Xiu thought, and opened his own panel. Scroll down to the subordinates section. Yin Yi 100, Li Qiu 100, Steelers 96, Zhang Heoping. Really? The steel man, who had disappeared, had his name reappeared in the subordinate column. Now Chu Xiu is finally relieved. The steel man is still the same steel man, even more loyal than before. Cough cough. You died once, but Zio and I tried to save you. 5. Chu Xiu coughed lightly. He simply told the steelers what happened. What? The steelers were surprised at first. Then, the metal body more than 3 meters high knelt down with a bang. Knocked several times towards Chu Xiu. Owner. The steel man didn't say anything. Just changed the title from boss to master at the same time. Chu Xiu also noticed that point the loyalty on the Steelman panel has soared to 100. Full loyalty, originally a diehard, now it's even more immortal. Alright, let's call it what you want, don't be a master, it sounds awkward. Chu Xiu waved his hand point. He didn't want a man to call himself master, even if its gender is none. Try on your new body and see if it fits. 5 Chu Xiu ordered. Yes, the Steelers got up immediately after hearing this tall metal body, walking around in the factory more and more shocked point. If he hadn't been informed in advance, the Steelers would not have even noticed that he had changed to a new body point. Now this body, it's as if it's natural. There was no discomfort during the activity. Wait, this is, at this time, the Steelman seemed to have noticed something, and quickly raised his left hand point under the astonished eyes of the Steelman himself. Its arms begin to deform. 4 flowers. The metal, which was originally as hard as alloy steel, suddenly softened and became like a liquid point. Changed shape quickly, extend forward, from a sturdy arm to a sharp knife. Boss, I seem to be able to change my own body shape, not just arms. Steelman found that most of his body could be deformed arbitrarily. In addition to not changing the nonsense, the limbs and torso of the Steelman can be transformed into weapons of any shape point. And these liquid metals, once solidified, it will gain hardness comparable to alloy steel. Yes, I changed you a new material. Apart from the skeleton and lower body, you can deform anywhere on your body. Chu Xiu wrote lightly point. As the master of the magnetic field, Chu Xiu can easily change the physical characteristics of the Steelman and decide what can and cannot be deformed. Thank you, boss. The Steelman knelt down again excitedly. Don T, just thank me. If it wasn't for Beziro's idea, you're a pile of scrap metal now. Chu Xiu waved his hand. Don't care. In his camp, the Steelman is a very special existence. No matter how powerful the Steelers are, neither Chu Xiu would have any worries. Not only because of the Steelman's loyalty, but also because of the Steelman's ability. He was defeated by Chu Xiu. Thank you. Thank you. The Steelman turned around and gave Beziro another knock point, but Beziro's attention was not on the Steelman, her now more concerned about this new liquid metal configured by Chu Xiu. The properties of this metal make it suitable for use in battlesuits and robots. 5 Beziro said calmly. She was keenly aware that the liquid metal that Chu Xiu reversely configured through the blood of the Steelman had a wider range of uses. Hey, you have to say that. It seems a little bit like that. Chu Xiu also saw the importance of this metal point. More importantly, point the metal reminded him of a sci-fi movie he had seen earlier. It doesn't matter what the battle clothes are, but this liquid metal robot, I think it's a big deal. Mountains. Chapter 146. I fell asleep anyway. Is it alright to kiss with the idea of making a liquid metal robot? Chu Xiu waved his hand. The magnetic field energy lifted the metal structured workshop overhead point. As a result, I saw the fish more white on the horizon. It's dawn. Looking at the bright sky, Chu Xiu was a little surprised point. Unexpectedly, he and Beziro went from finding the Steelman to resurrecting the Steelman point. It took all night. Point drip drip on Beziro's wrist. A device similar to a watch sounded an alarm. What's wrong? Chu Xiu hurriedly looked over. Wouldn't there be anything wrong with it? Fine. It reminds me it's time to rest. Beziro explained briefly point. Because he couldn't feel tired like a normal person, Beziro prepared a monitoring device for himself. Once the increased heart rate caused by staying up late and fatigue is detected, an alarm tone will sound. Just like when you came. Take me back, Beziro finished point. He walked directly in front of 563 Chu Xiu and fell into his arms under Chu Xiu's stunned eyes. Then close your eyes. In almost a second, she was breathing steadily and fell asleep. The quality of your sleep is so good. While Chu Xiu was talking, Beziro didn't react at all. Apparently he really fell asleep point and slept soundly. No wonder you only have 4 hours of rest a day. Chu Xiu finished point. He gently held Beziro sideways and hugged him like a princess. Even so, Beziro's breathing was still steady. This quality of sleep, 4 hours, is completely equivalent to the normal 8 hours of sleep. Man of steel. Chu Xiu whispered. Boss, The steel man thumped, knelt down on one knee, and humbly responded, "You're stupid, keep your voice down." Chu Xiu rolled his eyes. Yes, the steel man also reacted, and quickly lowered his voice. This fog caused a lot of losses to Hushan base, and the defense was weak. You go and guard for a few days. When Zhang Heoping builds a new batch of mechanical spiders, you can come back. Most of the casualties at Hushan base in the fog incident were the original guards. Even the thin monkey was seriously injured, and his life or death is unknown. Considering these circumstances, Chu Xiu decided to send the newly resurrected Steelman over there for a few days. No problem, boss. The Steelman, whose loyalty reaches 100%, has always been obedient to Chu Xiu. Plus it originally came out of the Hushan base. So there is no reason to refuse. By the way, when you are at the Hushan base, pay attention to Hei Zonking, Professor Hei. If she shows signs of awakening, notify me immediately. Chu Xiu thought of something, added, yes Steelers. Keep in mind. After assigning tasks to the Steelers, Chu Xiu released a repulsive magnetic field and flew up with Beizao in his arms facing the rising sun. Fly towards the direction of Yijiang Garden. In order not to wake Beizao, and because he was not in a hurry, Chu Xiu flew very slowly on the way. Therefore, there is a lot of time to appreciate Beizao in his sleep, looking so beautiful. No emotion, isn't this a waste? Chu Xiu looked down at Beizao in his arms and couldn't help but sigh. Beizao in his sleep, like a fine piece of porcelain. Crafted. Even the rising sun appeared bleak in front of her. I fell asleep anyway. In order not to wake Beizao. What was originally a few minutes away, Chu Xiu flew for more than 20 minutes. Only returned to Yijiang Garden. Chu Xiu, what? Chu Xiu did not expect was Li Qiuyu and Yunyi actually stayed up all night, waiting for them and Beizao to come back. What happened to Beizao? Seeing Beizao motionless in Chu Xiu's arms, the two girls were startled. Especially Yunyi. This tiger girl was obviously thinking crooked, thinking that something happened to Beizao. Her eyes suddenly turned red. What are you thinking about, people? Just fall asleep. Chu Xiu rolled his eyes and said in a bad breath, what? That's good. Hearing that it was just a new long, the two girls were relieved. Then they remembered the purpose of Chu Xiu's trip. Steelman didn't come back. Yin. Yi didn't finish speaking, but the meaning was already clear. She's asking if the Steelman is dead. Neither. We were rescued by us, and we are now on our way to the Hushan base. 5 Chu Xiu finished. He glanced at Beizao in his arms. Okay, I'll talk about it later. I'll send Beizao back first. After leaving a sentence, Chu Xiu carried Beizao to Villa number 9. Strange. How do I feel that Chu Xiu is hiding from us? Just like, what bad things did you do? And you feel a little guilty of being a thief. Yi looked at Chu Xiu's back and said strangely, have Li Qiuyu didn't notice this. She only felt that the expression on Chu Xiu's face today was slightly wrong. Maybe I'm tired. After all, I've been looking for it all night. Li Qiuyu thought for Chu Xiu. Forget it. Just come back. I'm going to bed. Yi yawned. Don't know why. Since in the fog, after using the berserk mode in the nanosuit. Yi always felt exhausted. The body seems to be overdrawn. Extremely tired. In villain 9. After putting down the sleeping Beizao, Chu Xiu went downstairs alone and came to the laboratory. Use existing materials, made a bunch of new liquid metal and stored it. As for why not make a liquid metal robot? Chu Xiu said he didn't have that ability. This kind of high-tech product. Let's wait until Bei wakes us up. Well, what is this? Chu Xiu, who finished making liquid metal, was just about to leave. Glance away. Suddenly I noticed a half-open black box in the corner of the laboratory. There appears to be a reflective object inside. With curiosity, Chu Xiu walked over. The box opened, and a silver skateboard-like device without wheels came into view. The shape is pretty cool. The moment when Chu Xiu picked up the skateboard, suddenly noticed that there is a set of stable magnetic fields. Similar to the repulsion magnetic field point, only weak point it seems to require an external force to recharge it before it can be used. Why does it feel like this thing was prepared for me? Chu Xiu tried to release a little magnetic energy 4.1 ohm. In an instant, the skateboard device takes off, suspended firmly in mid-air, and the skateboard will move freely in the air according to Chu Xiu's ideas. Although the speed is not particularly fast, but also far more than ground vehicles, it does seem to be for me. The performance of the skateboard made Chu Xiu sure that this thing was made for him by Beizao. Then, Chu Xiu had another doubt. Then, why didn't Beizao give it to me? With this doubt, Chu Xiu continued to check the box, and sure enough he found a piece of paper inside. This is a habit of Beizao. After she made something, she would leave a note introducing the item. Similar to the manual. Diamagnetic flight aids. The device can reduce the load of the magnetic field hedging on the human body and complete the diamagnetic flight with the minimum cost. *OBSOLETE*REASON for abandonment. Chu Xiu had mastered the diamagnetic flight ability when the device was completed. Chapter 147. System Upgrade. Ability Fusion. D. After reading the information on the paper, Chu Xiu finally understood why Beizao didn't give the skateboard to himself. For a long time, it's because you're getting stronger too fast. When Beizao designed this flight aid device, he should not have been able to achieve diamagnetic flight. The purpose of this thing, it should be to help yourself master the diamagnetic flight ability in advance. But by the time Beizao built this thing, he had already mastered diamagnetic flight, so Beizao designed so many things for me. Chu Xiu looked at the messy equipment in the lab. Although many devices do not know what it is, but Chu Xiu believes the things that Beizao designed for himself behind his back are definitely not only this one. With this idea, Chu Xiu didn't leave in a hurry and began to hang out in Beizao's laboratory. Sure enough, I found something that seemed to be prepared for myself. Small gravitational field generator, handheld electromagnetic railgun, no energy version, directional lamp generator. One abandoned device after another was thrown in the corner of the laboratory of the half-finished products. Some blueprints. It is equivalent to being thrown into a corner as soon as the design is completed, and it becomes a waste case. I seem to know why these things are half finished. 5 After Chu Xiu checked, his expression was a little embarrassed. Most of these things are auxiliary devices. The purpose of Beizao's design of them may be to allow Chu Xiu to complete some difficult magnetic field operations in advance. But the problem is, Chu Xiu's growth rate is too fast. These operations, whether gravitational field or EMP, as long as the magnetic field control is upgraded, Chu Xiu can release it on his own without the need for auxiliary devices at all. I didn't expect to upgrade too fast is also a problem. It caused Beizao to waste a lot of time on me. Looking at these abandoned devices, Chu Xiu felt that he had let down the kindness of others. Wait, I seem to be able to level up again. Speaking of leveling up, Chu Xiu suddenly remembered that he seemed to have already accumulated enough experience for leveling up, only interrupted by the sudden appearance of mist, caused to forget about it. System, how much experience do I have now? Current EXP 170,491. 170,000? Chu Xiu frowned. This number doesn't seem right. I saved a total of 160,000 and spent 10,000 to upgrade Teofu, Royal Earth, upgrade Annie, Animal Affinity, and then upgrade myself, Strength Enhancement. This set has been upgraded. The total experience value is not less. Why is there more than 10,000? Open system prompt logging. With doubts, Chu Xiu opened the system's kill record and scrolled down. The answer was found immediately. First of all, Chu Xiu himself killed a B-class fog monster, Beholder in the fog. At that time, Chu Xiu flashed fast because the Beholder was about to explode. I didn't hear the system prompt. You killed the B rank fog monster. Behold. EXP plus 5000. One beholder alone provides 5000 experience point, but that's not the point. The point is below point, a whole page of densely packed. All. Steelman kills the D-class fog monster. Steelman kills the E-class fog monster. Steelman kills. Steelman point from the system prompt record point during the time when the Steelman was lost in the thick fog. It was like falling into the sea of fog monsters. God knows how many fog monsters it was besieged by then. No wonder the Steelers end up dying. Chu Xiu shrugged point. But now it's a good thing. I have gained a lot of experience, and the Steelman has also been resurrected. Upgrading the system. After figuring out the origin of the experience, Chu Xiu immediately shouted in his heart point. Although you can also choose to upgrade lightning control, but for new features, Chu Xiu resolutely chose to upgrade the system point. Ding. Consumes 100,000 experience. The system level is raised to level 3. Increased talent slots. Current remaining slot 8/20. New function. Fusion of abilities. When you have at least 2 powers of the same type, you can perform power fusion. The fused ability disappears permanently. The remaining abilities will be upgraded. The level of upgrade is related to the number of fusion points. The more fusion points, the greater the improvement. New function. Ability devouring. Removed. Killing the awakened will no longer gain experience points. New. Killing the awakened will devour the opponent's talent and abilities and gain fusion points. The number of fusion points obtained by killing is 50% of the normal copy fusion. Chu Xiu did not expect that after the system level was upgraded, in addition to the fusion of supernatural powers that he knew in advance point, it also got another new function. Ability swallowing. Murdering and swallowing sounds a bit overbearing point to this. Chu Xiu said he liked it very much. With the same type of ability, the giant strength and strength enhancement will definitely be a pair. Let's combine the two first. Chu Xiu made a decision. System. Fusion strength strengthens, enhances giant power, which to consume, and which to enhance. Chu Xiu made the decision with almost no hesitation point. It's the same kind of power booster point. Mighty strength. Comparable strength is much stronger. Ding. Consumption. Strength enhancement LV3. Upgrade. Julie LV3. Are you sure? The rigid sound of the system sounded again. Sure. Chu Xiu said without hesitation. 563. Fusion begins. Power enhancement LV3 disappears. Get fusion points +7. Julie LV3. Advanced Julie LV3. Accompanied by a beep on Chu Xiu's attribute panel. Strength enhancement and giant strength. The two abilities disappeared at the same time point. Instead, it is a new talent called advanced giant power. But Chu Xiu not only didn't feel that the power was getting smaller, instead, I felt more powerful than ever. System. Expand my properties. With a thought, Chu Xiu opened his attribute panel. Name. Chu Xiu. System level 3. 0/1 million. Strength 327, plus 94 agility. 138 physical. 409 plus 51 energy. 1183 talent. Magnetic field control LV5, 1 million. Thunder control LV4, 100,000. Royal soil LV4, 100,000. Advanced Julie LV3, 10,000. Primary self-healing LV3, full. Primary flashing LV3, full. Primary haste LV2, 1000. Used slot 7/20. Left square bracket subordinates. Yanyai, 100. Li Qiu, 100. Steelers, 100. Zhang Heoping, Annie, 82. Teofu, 96. Experience 70,491 fusion points. 0. Chapter 148. Beizhao confessed to Chu Xiu. After the giant forces advanced, it not only increases the strength, it also boosts the potential. After checking the attribute list, Chu Xiu said with satisfaction point after the original, Julie, has been upgraded to LV3. It has already reached its full level, and cannot be upgraded further after upgrading to advanced giant power. There are more experience tips later, indicating that LV3 is not the limit of advanced giant power. The Disintegration power has been strengthened, and only 7 fusion points have been obtained. If there were more fusion points just now, and the increase in giant power should be even greater than now. After a practical operation, Chu Xiu has already understood the operation of supernatural fusion. To put it bluntly, it is to decompose other abilities of the same type, get fusion points, use fusion points to improve the abilities you want to enhance point. But the fusion points obtained by killing people cannot be directly used to improve abilities. It can only be added in the process of power fusion to increase the effect of power fusion point. For example, point. If Chu Xiu wants to improve the talent of blink, he must first copy another space-based ability point instead of directly increasing the fusion points obtained by killing people. It is equivalent to the main and auxiliary drugs in traditional Chinese medicine. Chu Xiu thought of an apt metaphor. If the fusion of supernatural powers is compared to brewing a traditional Chinese medicine, then the supernatural power that is fused is the main medicine point. The fusion points are the adjuvants added in the middle point used to increase medicinal properties. But no matter what, from now on, I have to pay more attention to the awakened than ever. Chu Xiu said solemnly. Point. The previous self did not pay attention to those awakened ones who were weak because there is no value to copy point. But now, even the weaker awakened person has a little value to himself point. That's for copy fusion. If it is hostile, it can also be killed to obtain fusion points point. Just when Chu Xiu was thinking about where to find more awakened ones, a series of footsteps interrupted Chu Xiu's thoughts. Well, I woke up so soon. 59. Chu Xiu followed the voice, but found that it was Bei Xiao who came down. Bei Xiao nodded. Did you do something to me? My watch suggested that on the way back. My heart rate increased a lot. While talking, Bei Xiao took off the heart rate monitoring device and put it on the table. Cough. Cough. Chu Xiu's rare old face flushed point. On the way, I couldn't help stealing a kiss, but I didn't expect to be caught by the master. It does not matter. As a result, Bei Xiao did not respond, and even said, if you want, I can spare time to have children for you in my spare time. Your strength and my wisdom, it will definitely produce perfect offspring. Bei Xiao is direct point. Chu Xiu was stunned point. When she said this, she didn't even have any change in her expression, as if it was just right. Let's work first point. After a brief stupor, Chu Xiu shook his head non-committally and changed the subject. Bei Xiao nodded point. Nor did he pursue this topic further. Even for her, this matter may not be as important as developing a new machine point. After all, she herself said things like after work and taking time out point. Clearly, she still puts her work first. What are your plans for liquid machines? Humanoids. Bei Xiao walked to the workbench point. After checking the new liquid metal made by Chu Xiu, he turned around and asked, well, a humanoid with a metal skeleton on the inside and liquid metal on the outside. In terms of intelligence, it's better to be high, not to mention artificial intelligence, at least not to be artificially retarded. 5. Chu Xiu made several requests based on several movies he had seen before. Actually, the human form is not the most efficient machine form, but since you asked, although Bei Xiao did not agree with the humanoid liquid machine, he did not say much point. Dive into the design. The structure of the Man of Steel gave me a lot of inspiration. In the future, if you find a similar existence, you'd better bring it to me. Bei Xiao, who entered the working state, said without raising his head. Row. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he did not leave in a hurry point. Instead, he stayed and looked at Bei Xiao's design for a while point. It has to be said that the structure of the liquid metal robot is countless times more complicated than that of the mechanical spider. Obviously this thing is not mass produced point, but from the preliminary sketches, once this thing is made, the strength is absolutely powerful, pretty much a miniature version of the Man of Steel. After watching for a while, Chu Xiu felt a little bored and left the laboratory point. Only Bei Xiao was left, and he continued to immerse himself in these boring numbers and lines. Back to the villa, Chu Xiu rested for a while. In fact, with his current mental strength, even if he does not sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, He will not feel tired at all point, but you can take a short break and restore your energy to a full state point. Why not do it? Noon. After resting for about 2 hours, Chu Xiu woke up. The whole person is full of energy. Cool. Chu Xiu stretched out comfortably. In the cruel apocalypse, there are only a handful of people who can live like him. Stretched out. Chu Xiu dialed the communication of the arsenal leader. As soon as it was connected, Zhang Heoping's voice sounded from the channel immediately. Help me investigate where the other survivors of the southwest base have gone, especially the awakened ones. Chu Xiu ordered. After the corpse tide, about tens of thousands of survivors set foot on the road of escape in the southwest base point. No matter how many people die, it is impossible that only 200 people survived. Therefore, these survivors who came to Hushan prison are only a small part of the escape team. The other survivors are either still at large, or join other bases in surrounding cities. As for where exactly Li Wanghao went, the most direct method, naturally, is to ask the survivors of the southwest base and the arsenal. Okay, chief, I'll investigate right away. Zhang Heoping finished speaking. Chu Xiu cut off the communication and went downstairs. There was no one in the villa. Little Teofu was dragged by little Annie and ran to the artificial lake in the community where she fed the spotted tiger. Maybe because of the similar age, the two girls are getting closer and closer except for Annie and Toffee. Shin Miao and Li Qiuai were not in the villa but went out to collect ingredients and condiments. The only one still in the villa, it was Yin Yi, who was still sleeping. Why did you sleep so long? Chu Xiu felt something was wrong. When he came back, Yin Yi said that he was going to sleep and go to the grave. After so long, she woke up all at once, but she still hadn't woken up yet. Yi. With doubts, Chu Xiu walked to Yin Yi's room. Chapter 149. Li Qiuai slaughtered a base. Push open the door. Chu Xiu saw Yin Yi sleeping. Yin Yi, who was asleep, unconsciously let out a slight breathing sound. Chu Xiu often made fun of her about it. What to say, talked, snort, split, but in fact, what Yin Yi made was not a snoring sound, but a purring sound similar to a kitten sleeping. Not only is it not noisy, rather cute. Oh, sleep is not honest. Chu Xiu walked over the back of his hand, touched Yin Yi's forehead, and his face changed suddenly. Why is it so hot? Yin Yi's forehead is surprisingly hot. Consciousness is not very clear. Rather than being asleep, it is better to say that he was in a coma. The side effects of berserk mode so big. Chu Xiu frowned. When Yin Yi got the nanosuit, he was also present. Beizao made it clear at the time that using the berserk mode of the nanosuit would have side effects, but Chu Xiu did not expect this side effect can be so severe. Yi. Chu Xiu shouted twice, seeing that Yin Yi still didn't respond. Just hug. Take it to Beizao's laboratory. Beizao at work. Hearing the movement, he glanced here and then looked back. Take it back. She's fine. Beizao wrote lightly. What? But her forehead is hot? Chu Xiu said. 563. It should be a fever. You can just feed her a fever reducing medicine. Beizao said. Just explained again. Yeah, she's using the nanosuit's berserk mode. Briefly overdrawn the body. Causes a weakened immune system. In addition, I didn't sleep last night, so I had a cold and a fever. Beizao explained. The reason why she can see Yin Yi's situation at a glance, a very important reason is because Yin Yi is a melee awakener. Julie talent not only increases strength, it also doubled her physique. Therefore, although the nanosuit has side effects, it will definitely not be so serious for Yin Yi. Then, why didn't she wake up? After Chu Xiu heard it, he was still a little puzzled. Installed, Beizao said without looking back. PFFT. At the moment, when Beizao broke, Yin Yi in Chu Xiu's arms suddenly laughed. You are finally willing to hug me. It's still the princess. Yin Yi put her arms around Chu Xiu's neck. The whole person, like a clingy kitten, kept rubbing against Chu Xiu. Big bright eyes, even more laughing like a crescent moon. When did you wake up? Chu Xiu has a black line. Hey, since you hugged me up. Yin Yi smiled smugly and puffed on Chu Xiu's neck mischievously. You. Chu Xiu wanted to throw this tiger girl on the ground, but for the sake of her still having a fever, she didn't do anything in the end. Row, labor, and management would like to see it. What else are you hot except your forehead? After realizing that it was a false alarm, Chu Xiu left the laboratory with Yin Yi without saying a word. Back to the villa. To give Yin Yi a fever-reducing medicine, he taught him mercilessly. Yin Yi who took antipyretics. The whole person is dizzy. He was not Chu Xiu's opponent at all, so he could only beg for mercy. Finally, it was also a communication from Josh. An arsenal point saved Yin Yi's life. Zhang. Hey Oping, how's the investigation going? Chu Xiu connected the communication and went downstairs while asking point behind him. It was Yin Yi who was already asleep and this time it's not pretending. It's really falling asleep. Sleep like a pig. Looking back at the leader, according to the survivors' accounts, there were 2 locations that received a larger number of survivors. Zhang Heoping paused for a while and began to introduce them one by one. One is the Huoyex base that I contacted before. It's a large military-controlled base that has taken in about 2,000 people. The Huoyex base in Zhang Heoping's mouth. It was the base he contacted to evacuate the survivors before the corpse tide came. With the volume of this base, receiving 2,000 people should be their limit. In addition to the Huoyex base, there is another. Hey, Zhang Heoping said. What's wrong? Chu Xiu asked quickly. Go back to the boss. In addition to the Huoyex base, there is another base. This base was only known to some survivors halfway through the Deb broadcast. The location is in an industrial park along the river in Wax City next door. Many survivors who had nowhere to go listened to their broadcasts and went to defect. According to everyone's description, at least 2,500 people went to this base. This number is likely to be exaggerated by word of mouth among survivors, but the actual number should not be less than 1,500. Zhang Heoping analyzed it based on his experience. Wait, you repeat, where is this base? Chu Xiu didn't even hear how many people the base accepted. Instead, he focused his attention on the location of this base. Wax City, an industrial park along the river. Zhang Heoping repeated again. Chu Xiu on the other end of the phone was silent. What's the matter, Chief? Is there something wrong with this base? Zhang Heoping asked in confusion. It's alright, you go on with your business. After a while, I may send you another batch of survivors. After Chu Xiu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Then take out the phone. Opened the previously downloaded offline map at the location along the river in the neighboring city. An approximate location was manually circled. If nothing else, it should be the space. Chu Xiu's expression was a little weird. If I remember correctly, this base, in the near future, will be destroyed by a person beside him, Li Qiuyu. As I said before, according to the normal timeline, Li Qiuyu will disappear for a long time after the apocalypse. After the first appearance, or the first detention. That is, together with the other 2 awakened ones, they jointly destroyed and slaughtered this base. After that, Li Qiuyu was on the ruins of this base. The prototype of Storm City was built. That is, the survivor base established by Li Qiuyu himself. Although this is from the previous life, Li Qiuyu in this life will not have anything to do with this base. But the problem is, Li Qiuyu in the previous life, why did you want to destroy this base? And together with the other 2 awakened ones, they slaughtered this base. Chu Xiu was a little puzzled. In the previous life, Li Qiuyu, even if her personality changed greatly, she would not slaughter a base. If only Li Qiuyu did this alone. Chu Xiu can also be understood as a personal grudge. But the problem is Li Qiuyu is not alone. There were 2 other awakens who slaughtered this base with her. One of them, it is also a light manipulator whose ability is not inferior to Li Qiuyu, one that can manipulate the rays of the sun, the powerhouse of spotlight attack, a base that let so many strong men join forces to destroy, and taking in so many survivors all at once. They worry about food supplies? Based on these 2 doubts, Chu Xiu was keenly aware that there must be something wrong with this base. Forget it. Why do you think so much? You won't know if you go and see. Chu Xiu slapped the table Chapter 150 Zombies that evolve into air guns. If there's anything wrong with this base, if it's a big deal, I'll make up for Lee Qiu's unfinished business. Chu Xiu thought unabashedly. He's not a good believer. If there is really a problem with this base, Chu Xiu doesn't mind imitating Lee Qiu from the previous life to a devastating massacre. With this thought in mind, Chu Xiu left the villa. Considering some gory scenarios that could arise, Chu Xiu didn't bring anyone after leaving a message on the table. He flew alone in the direction of the next city. In flight, Chu Xiu looked down from the sky. After a foggy event, the entire city has been completely turned into a devastated wasteland. The building will collapse, or full of spooky spider webs. Looking around, there is hardly any sign of human activity. At this point in time, if there are still survivors hiding at home, or hiding in bunkers, even if you don't starve to death, it's probably about the same. Chu Xiu's figure passed over the buildings. Maybe in a corner below this, there is a survivor who is on the verge of desperation, praying that someone can save him. But unfortunately, no one could hear their prayers. Knowing I'd brought the flying skateboard, after looking at the situation on the ground for a while, Chu Xiu retracted his gaze. Now he some regret not bringing Beizio to the flying skateboard he made. Although the main purpose of a flying skateboard, assisting flight, is no longer useful to Chu Xiu, and this thing has been regarded as a waste case by Beizio and thrown in the corner, but Chu Xiu found that this thing is actually useful. That is to use it, which can greatly reduce the energy consumption during flight. Consume it. The main diamagnetic flight is also too slow. Chu Xiu shook his head. Now, diamagnetic flight has hit a threshold. That's the speed of sound. If you simply use the repulsive magnetic field, let alone supersonic speed, it is difficult to connect to near sonic speed. But if it is connected to the geomagnetic field, if you use the rotation speed of the blue star to fly, the speed is too fast. 3 times the speed of sound. This speed has far exceeded the limit of Chu Xiu's body. For various reasons. Leading to Chu Xiu's flying speed, not up or down. It happened to be stuck in the embarrassing situation where it was close to the speed of sound, but could never break through. It would be nice if it could replicate a real flying skill. Chu Xiu couldn't help but think, according to Zhang Haoping, the base he was going to accepted at least 1,500 survivors from the southwest base. There are even fewer awakened ones among them. There must be 3 or 4, right? Although Chu Xiu's flying speed, not particularly fast. Fortunately, Wu X City is not too far from H City, and the two belong to neighbors. Chu Xiu flew over the city for less than half an hour. Viewed from above this small city along the river, now it has become a paradise for zombies and beasts. Zombies and beasts could be seen on every street as far as the eye could see. Chu Xiu ignored the zombies and beasts in the suburbs. Instead, it flew in the direction of the Yangtze River until it reached the sky above the Yangtze River. Chu Xiu turned on the phone. Industrial area along the river. According to the clues provided by Zhang Haoping, Chu Xiu searched along the river. Raw, because the flight speed is relatively slow. Many zombies on the riverbank noticed Chu Xiu and gathered. Gradually, a small corpse tide formed. Is there such a large population of permanent residents in Wux City? Chu Xiu was a little surprised. On the banks of the river far away from the city center, a group of thousands of corpses gathered casually. If this is in the city center, how many zombies are there? Just when Chu Xiu was surprised, below a mutant zombie that was on all fours like a beast and locked its pale eyes on Chu Xiu. It lay on the ground, breathing heavily. The time panic membrane of the chin grows rapidly, like a toad, form a roaring airbag. The air inside is compressed layer by layer, forming a very powerful compressed gas. Then the mutant zombie opened his mouth. In the middle of its throat, there is actually a black spike. It's like growing out of the body. The spike tail is connected to the bulging airbag. Dangerous? At the same time, Chu Xiu, who was flying in midair, suddenly sensed a crisis-seeking flowers, then the next second point boom. Only a thunderous explosion was heard. Point a beam of air, compressed to the extreme, shot out from the mouth of the mutant zombie below. Point the compressed gas forms the air cones visible to the naked eye, pushing the spikes in the mutant zombie's mouth. Point shoot at Chu Xiu in the air. F***K. Air gun. Hearing the movement, Chu Xiu glanced down and was shocked. But in shock, Chu Xiu still did not forget a flicker, and avoided the spike. The power is about the same as a normal rifle. After Chu Xiu dodged, the flying speed of the spikes was sensed by the magnetic field. Point simply judge the power of this thing. Point. And, compared to power, there is a more important thing. That is the material of this thing. 9 times out of 10 it is composed of calcium. Similar to the human skeleton. Not metal. So Chu Xiu couldn't stop the spike with magnetic field induction. How can zombies evolve such a thing? Chu Xiu fixed his gaze on the body of this mutant zombie. What puzzled him was that he has never seen such a zombie. Even in his previous life, he had never heard of a zombie that could evolve himself into an air gun. Point, but there are similar zombies. There is a kind of zombie called the raw, which can compress gas in the body and then spray this high pressure gas as a weapon. Point the range of the gas is about 100 meters, which is quite a threat to ordinary people. Point and this guy in front of him. Point it's like an advanced version of Growl. It's just that it does not directly launch the compressed gas, but uses the compressed gas to push the spikes. Thus, whether it is the power of the attack or the range, it has greatly increased. Sting raw C-class mutated zombie. Mutated zombies with compressed airbags and bone spurs at the same time, evolved from a ground raw that has undergone secondary mutation for unknown reasons. Really? Raw. Secondary evolution for unknown reasons. At this time, Chu Xiu scanned the information of this mutant zombie. Point, but haven't had time to watch it yet. Point the stinging raw from the ground, launched an attack again. Raw. The time panic membrane of its jaw grew again. Point gas is compressed. Point a mountain of spikes grew out of his throat again. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.